Theatre. A Pretty Little Gift Horse by T.D. Webster, with John Hollis as Eddie Jackson. A Pretty Little Gift Horse.
Come in.
I've brought Jackson's file, sir.
Oh, good. Thank you. Edward Jackson. I don't think I know him, do I, Mr. Reynolds?
I shouldn't think so, sir. He keeps out of trouble.
Moved here from Wakefield.
Yes, sir. A spot of bother there, but he's been very quiet here.
Have you had any contact?
Very little, sir. He's not one to open out.
Something of a boxer in his younger days, I see. Ah. Done time for GBH. Hard case, is he?
He could be. The others give him a very wide berth. He's well respected, as they say.
In for breaking and entering this time.
He's well known as a burner, sir.
Yes.
An expert with oxyacetylene equipment.
I do know, Mr. Reynolds.
Yes, sir. Well, if they caught him with his gear this last time, he'd have got a lot more than 3 years.
I see he goes to art classes.
I understand he's very good, sir. The Padres bought several of his paintings.
Must have a look at his work. Painting by a prisoner would look quite well in my office.
Yes, sir.
Oh, I hate this sort of thing. How will he take it, do you think?
Well, it's very difficult to say. It's almost a year since his wife last came on a visit.
Usual trouble, I suppose?
Very likely, sir. Although anyone who's been playing around with Jackson's wife is asking for trouble, he gets out next month.
Yes. No children, that's a blessing. Yes? Ah, yes. Send them in, please. Thank you, Mr. Lewis. If you'll wait outside.
Yes, sir.
Now then, would you like to sit down, Jackson?
No, thank you, sir. I'd rather stand.
As you wish. I've sent for you because I've just had a phone call from the police. They've asked me to pass on some information.
Yes, sir.
I'm afraid it's rather bad news. I'm very sorry to have to tell you that your wife died last night. She was found by a neighbour in the early hours of the morning. You're sure you wouldn't like to sit down?
Karen's dead.
Yes. You would have been sent for, of course, but she was dead by the time they got her to hospital.
What happened, sir?
It seems she took her own life. I don't know any details. The police will be contacting you.
She killed herself?
Yes. I'm terribly sorry, Jackson. It's a hard enough blow to bear under normal circumstances. If you wish to apply for an escorted parole on compassionate grounds, I feel sure it will be granted.
No. Thank you, sir.
You don't want to attend the inquest or the funeral?
No, sir.
No? Well, think about it. What work are you on?
Farm, sir.
If you want some time alone, I'm sure it can be arranged.
I'd rather keep on working, sir.
Ah, perhaps you're right. Padre will be here this afternoon. Would you like to see him?
No, thank you, sir.
He may be able to help in some way.
I don't think so, sir.
Look, I should think again about parole, Jackson. Have a word with Mr. Reynolds if you change your mind. We can soon get things moving. Oh, there's a request for a visit this afternoon, probably in connection with your bereavement. Do you want to see anyone?
Who is it, sir?
Mr. Powell, Frank Powell.
Oh, I'd like to see him, sir.
Good. A friend, is he?
Yes, sir.
Fine, yes. Well, if you think we can help in any way, don't hesitate to ask.
Thank you, sir.
We're all very sorry. Just remember that if you do want to talk or seek advice, I shall be here.
Thank you, sir.
It's better to let go sometimes, Jackson. Better in the long run.
Yes, sir.
Yes, well, that's all for the moment. Carry on, Jackson.
She never even come to me, Frank. She could have come to me. Did the law tell you anything?
Not much.
How did she do it?
Eddie, what's the point?
I want to know, Frank. They must have told you.
Overdose of sleeping pills. She can't have felt a thing. Here, can I give you the fag?
Aye, just one. And make it quick.
Yeah.
Ta. If only she'd come to me. Was it money?
No, I don't think so. She just couldn't cope. Look, Eddie, it was always on the cards, you know that.
Not suicide.
The way Karen was, anything was possible.
What was she on?
Heroin.
Bloody hell. When I first knew her, she didn't even drink.
I heard it was heroin. I've not seen much of her recently.
Didn't she ever come to see Betty?
Not lately. Well before Christmas, when we last saw her.
When we went in a pub, she used to drink tomato juice.
Now listen, Eddie, don't start blaming yourself. Or kidding yourself. Things weren't all that great between you and Karen before you come in here. She was already taking stuff.
Yeah, only pills, though, not bloody heroin.
You wouldn't have stopped her. She was already on the way.
She wouldn't have done it if I hadn't been in here.
No, there's no way of knowing, Eddie.
Who was it, Frank?
I've told you. I've hardly seen her.
Frank, I'm not stupid. Stands to reason she found someone. She stopped coming to see me. One or two of the lads in here have dropped hints, but I've not pushed it. I've not asked them, and I've not asked you, because I knew that once I did know, I wouldn't be able to think of anything else. And that's enough to send you round a bend in here. But I'm asking now, Frank. Who was it?
I heard she was knocking around with Jim Henderson.
Yeah, that figures. He always fancied Karen. I bet he was sniffing round her the moment I went inside.
He was seen with her several times up west.
She probably got the drugs through him. He has enough contacts. Well, I'll settle that bastard, big man or not.
Just keep your voice down, old son. Take it easy.
It's down to him. Right?
I suppose so.
Right.
Try and forget Henderson. You start thinking about yourself. Are they letting you out on parole?
Now, I said I don't want it. I couldn't face Karen's family. And I reckon I might clear off after him. I'll wait.
That's sensible, for a change. No point in messing things up with only 3 weeks to do. I'll get in touch with Karen's family about the funeral. See if they need any help with cash.
Well, they won't take it, but thanks.
You just keep your nose clean. And your voice down, all right?
Yeah, all right.
Won't be long before you're with me at the garage. Just keep your mind on that. Now, what date is it you get out?
The 7th. It's a Thursday.
I'll try and send a motor, but Thursday's a bad day.
No, I'll be all right. I'll get a taxi into Norwich.
Okay for cash?
Oh, yeah, I had 20 quid on me when they brought me in.
Well, only 3 weeks. It'll soon pass.
The only time.
Thanks for coming, Frank.
Just take it steady, eh? Here. Shove some fags in your pocket.
Oh.
You'll turn a blind eye.
All in order. Right then. Have you got your travel warrant?
Yep.
Well, there's a van going to Norwich in a few minutes. He may give you a lift.
I'll manage. Just let me out, okay?
There you are. And try not to come back.
No chance. Well, that looks like trouble.
You could say that. I must have driven over some glass.
Nasty.
Did you happen to notice a phone box back that way?
No, the nearest one's in the village.
Hell.
Have you got a jack and a spare?
In the boot, I think. I couldn't possibly expect you...
That's no trouble. I couldn't walk on and leave you now, could I? Got the keys?
Oh, yes. Here. That's very kind of you.
No, it won't take long. How am I fixed for a lift when I've changed it?
That's the least I can do.
Right, you're on.
Can I help?
No, I'll be all right, thanks.
I'll watch and see how it's done. I can't really thank you enough, Mr...
Jackson. Eddie Jackson.
Oh, my name's Jenny.
Well, I'll not shake hands, Jenny. I'm a bit mucky.
I'll put your bag in the car, Eddie, shall I?
It's a nice car. New?
Yeah, I only got it last week.
Ah, you drive it well.
Thank you. I was lucky you came along when you did. I could have been there for hours.
Nah. Garage in the village would have sent somebody out.
Maybe. Where are you heading?
London. You going that way?
Yeah, eventually. I've got to call somewhere first. Are you in a hurry?
All the time in the world.
You can come along if you like. It isn't far out of the way.
We're picking somebody up.
No, I've just got something to collect. It's quite near. A launch on the Broads.
Well, how about stopping for a drink on the way? They'll be open soon.
There's plenty of drink at the launch, if you can wait.
I don't mind waiting.
Do you want another?
If you are.
Yeah, I think so.
You better keep clear of the law driving down. Wouldn't fancy your chances blowing up the little bag.
I always feel like afternoon drinking shouldn't count, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I suppose I'd better stay here and sober up a bit. No tearing hurry, is there?
No. I'm very comfortable. I can stay in this any time. So. Is this yours?
The boat? No, friends. I like the way you said the law.
Oh, yeah.
It sounded very, well, professional.
Oh, yeah.
Don't keep saying, oh, yeah.
When you picked me up, where do you think I come from?
I didn't really think about it.
I just come from the Nick. Wenderby prison.
Really?
Yeah. And I'll tell you something else.
Yeah?
I ain't had a drink or a woman for a long time. So drink up and let's go. Or pour me another.
Same again. Who's that?
It's me. Did it go all right?
Fine.
Where is he?
On the bed there.
I don't shine that torch on him.
He'll be all right, won't he?
Yeah. Let me look at him. His eyes flat out.
What are you doing?
Shine the torch on his hand. Keep it steady. Right. That's it. You got the glass?
Yeah, here.
I've not touched it.
No.
Good.
He will wake all right, won't he?
Yeah. He'll have a hangover, but he'll think it's the drink. Tomorrow then, okay?
Yeah.
You worked it like a dream, love. See you.
How much did I have?
Well over a bottle.
And I feel rough.
You're not in training.
I didn't hear any complaints.
I meant the drinking.
Yeah. I did go at it a bit strong. Didn't help being dragged out of me pit at this time.
Oh, I'm sorry about that. I had to make an early start. I did tell you.
Yeah. Made a day of it, didn't we?
Yeah.
You married?
Don't ask personal questions.
Where are you going to in London?
I'm not going right into town. Will it be all right if I drop you off at Upminster?
Upminster?
Yes, I can drop you there without going out of my way. I'm going through the Dartford Tunnel.
Upminster, that district line.
You'll be able to get a train into town. Well, where are you heading?
Only Mile End. Do you live in London?
No. I'm sorry. I'd take you in, but I'm late as it is.
No, it's all right. I just wondered, any chance of meeting you again?
Yes, I should think so. You leave me your phone number and I'll give you a ring the next time I'm in town.
Well, I don't know where I'm staying yet. I'll give you the Vic's number. That's a pub. Don't know where to contact me.
No wonder you never turned up. And you've been with us since yesterday morning.
Right up to when she dropped me over the station.
You always were a jammy beggar. Hey, all right, was it?
I thought it was my birthday, didn't I?
I bet you did. Seen her again?
Well, she said she'd give me a ring.
Yeah?
But I reckon it was just a one-off job.
Oh, not grumbling, are you?
Oh, no. Plenty more where she come from.
Right. Anyway, a good start.
Yeah, the best. Well, how's it going here?
Nice and steady.
And all straight?
Yeah. The money comes in without grafting. Repairs, car hire, taxis.
Taxis?
Yeah, we got 4 now. Radio control.
What do you do?
Me? I'm the boss, ain't I? I just keep an eye on things and count the money. I've got a good workshop manager.
Stowberry.
Young Steve looks after the car hire side. Place runs itself. When we're pushed, weekends usually, I look after the dispatching.
Nothing bent?
Only the money that bought it. And that's a long time ago.
Yeah. Well, where do I fit in?
Anywhere you like, old son. There's no rush. You take it easy for a bit.
Yeah. Well, I haven't fixed anywhere to stay yet.
Oh, plenty of time for that.
And what about tonight? Did you mention to Betty about going up to a show up west?
I did, but she's got something fixed tonight. We'll go this weekend. Give you time to find a bird to take.
How is Bet?
Oh, same as usual.
Cool. Blowy Frank. I tell you, I feel played out. I could do with finding somewhere and getting my head down.
We got a camp bed in the storeroom through there. Go and have a lie down.
Yeah.
You've 3 hours before they open.
Oh, look, no, I don't fancy a booze up, Frank. I had a skinful last
They're
night.
all expecting to see you down at the Vic. John, Harry, Stan. They were all looking for you yesterday. Just a steady drink and a few games of snooker.
No, look, I don't...
You go and have a kip. If I know anything, John will have a bird lined up for you. You'll need your rest, old son.
Well, the bed's through there, is it?
Yeah. Nearly ready?
Yeah.
We're wasting drinking time.
Oh, right.
Oh, wow. Cash. That should see you all right.
Now, I only want what's owed me, Frank.
That's all it is. Plus a bit of interest.
Well, thanks.
Right.
Just one thing before we go, Frank.
Yeah?
Well, I won't get a chance to ask you when we get down there. About Karen. Did you find out any more?
Only what they said at the inquest. Look, old son, it's over. Done with.
We'll see. It said nothing at the inquest about where she got the drugs from, did it?
What do you think?
I'll settle that bastard.
Oh, yeah, that's what you've been telling Arthur Nick.
Well, I hope the word's got back to Henderson, that's all. He can sit and sweat.
Just take it easy, eh? Relax. Come on. They'll be wondering where we are.
Right, what are the plans, Eddie?
Well, nothing definite yet. I'll see how it goes.
You want to get yourself some sun?
Yeah, I might do that.
Well, Jack Stevens got himself a flat on the Costa Brava, hasn't he, eh? Might let you have that for a week or two.
Yeah. Be nice this time of year. No tourists. I'll have a word with Jack if you like.
Thanks, I'll let you know.
Find yourself a nice bird and you're laughing.
Yeah, speaking of birds, you wouldn't believe
Who's calling it then? I'm dying of thirst.
Yeah, right. Same again, is it? Yeah, best. Nice shot. I'll see you.
5 whiskies, £3.60 for you, Eddie.
£3.60. Oh, have one yourself, Doris.
Oh, Tar, I'll have it later if that's all right.
Yeah.
No time to turn around here. Like a tray.
Oh, Tar, yeah.
It's nice to see you back again, Eddie.
Oi, Doris, come on, girl.
Coming.
All right then, Eddie.
Huh? Oh. Hello, Billy. How's things?
Oh, up and down. Here, I reckon you put weight on.
How you reckon? All that good living?
You come across old Taff inside, didn't you?
Not to speak to, no. He was in the other wing.
Yeah. Bit of news that will interest you, Eddie. Yeah. Ain't got round yet.
What's that then, Billy?
Jim Henderson.
What about him?
Shot dead. Early hours of this morning.
Where'd you hear that?
Mick Andrews, he worked for Henderson. He just heard an hour ago. Police all over the shop. Mitchell's on it. He's detective inspector now, of course. They moved him out that way.
Where was he shot? At the club?
No, at home. Wife was away. He was there by himself. Shotgun. Both barrels. Cleaning woman found him this morning. Shocking mess.
Where does Henderson live?
Well, he bought this big place last year. Where was it now? It's Farside Hornchurch.
Upminster?
That's it. Yeah, Upminster. bit of a turn-up, eh, Eddie?
You sure about this, Billy?
Sure as I'll stand here. All over the papers tonight, you'll see. And the telly.
Yeah. Here. Get yourself a drink, Billy.
Well, that's very good of you, Eddie. All the best, mate. Doris, Sharp.
And about time, Eddie.
Look,
Where you
lads,
been? Since you'd emigrated.
I'll leave your drinks on the bar, near Billy Cochran there. There's something private I've got to discuss with Frank. Just come up, all right?
Yes, fine, Eddie.
Well, don't be too long, old man. I'll meet you about them birds. I'll be here soon.
Just a couple of minutes, okay?
Okay. Right.
What's the big secret then?
Jim Henderson is dead.
What?
Killed early hours of this morning. Shotgun job.
Who told you that?
Billy Cochran. Just now at the bar.
He'd tell you anything for a drink.
He knows better than to have me on. He heard it from Mick Andrews. Mick's reliable enough.
All right, so it's true. Not shedding any tears, are you?
No, not for that bastard. It's me I'm bothered about.
How do you come into it?
Mitchell is on the case, that's all.
So?
As soon as he realises I'm out, he's going to be looking for me.
You and how many others? Eddie, there's a queue of blokes waiting to do Henderson from way back. Besides, what are you worrying about? You were with that bird,
Jenny.
Jenny. Well, no problem then.
I don't know nothing about her, Frank. Not even her second name or where she lives, nothing. So when Mitchell comes asking, what's he going to say? Sounds like a fairy story.
All right, so Mitchell doesn't like you. But he's straight. You tell him about her, he'll find her. For a start, there's the launch.
Have you ever been to the Broads? There's thousands of bloody launches and everywhere looks the same.
You must have some idea where you went.
I wasn't clocking the road, was I?
Well, Mitchell will find her. If he ever gets round to
He'll
you.
come as soon as he knows I'm out.
Don't get your knickers in a twist, old son. For all you know, they may have got somebody.
It stinks, Frank. Henderson has enemies, right?
Yeah.
Why does he get done just after I get out? And why does this bird just happen to turn up and keep me busy until this morning? And why does she just happen to drop me off near where Henderson lives?
You're making a mystery out of nothing, Eddie.
Somebody is bound to remember seeing me on Upminster Station at that time.
It's all circumstantial, old son.
Yeah, people have done life as circumstantial before now.
A tenor says Mitchell won't even come to see you.
But I'm not waiting to find out.
Well, what are you going to do?
I'm going to keep out of the way until I see what's happening.
That makes it look even worse.
I'm not spending the weekend in stir, Frank.
It's going to look bad to the filth, old son.
Sweating it out in the interview room with Mitchell looks bad to me as well.
Oh, you going now?
Yeah, I'll be in touch.
I think you're making a big mistake, old son. You're going to come out of this looking a real prat. But have it your own way. Do you want a car?
No, too easy to trace. There's no point in getting you involved.
Look, we're mates, aren't we? If you're in trouble, it's my trouble, right?
Yeah, like you say, it may be nothing. I'll be in touch if I need help.
Anything. Oh, and ring the garage, not home.
Okay.
What do I tell the others?
Tell them I've got to see a bird. I'll see you, Frank.
All right, Eddie.
What about Viv Granger?
Emigrated 2 years ago. Australia.
How the hell did they come to let a villain like that in? Phillipson.
Died of an heart attack last May on holiday abroad.
Did he?
Detective Inspector Mitchell's office, Sergeant Fox speaking. Yeah? What about the ones on the desk? And the glass? Right, as soon as you can, please. The prints on the door handle are the cleaners.
Yeah. Anything on the others?
No, not yet.
Right. Who else have we got? We've cleared Nolan.
There's Jackson.
Eddie Jackson. Thought he was inside.
Yeah, so did I, but he came out on the 7th. Yesterday.
Ah. Where was he?
Wenderby. Right side of the country. Less than 2 hours from Henderson's place.
Motive?
Word is, Henderson was knocking off Jackson's wife up to a few months ago. Jackson's bound to have heard.
Yeah, a shotgun, not Jackson's style, is it?
Well, he's violent, quick-tempered. Well, he's never used firearms, as far as I know.
Still, there's always a first time. Yeah, it's worth looking at. Get on to Wenderby and find out what they can tell us about Jackson, the exact time of release and so on.
Are we fetching him in, Guff?
Yeah, I think so. 1:45. Where does he drink?
The Vic, usually.
Right. Find out who's nearest and tell him to look in.
Come on, Mr. Cairns, time to go home.
Oh, time for another, surely.
Not tonight. We were warned last week.
Closing time, and life looks bleak, Maureen.
It'll look better tomorrow.
Well, only if a check arrives, which is doubtful.
Oh, like that, is it?
Afraid so.
A nice big story coming up for you, surely.
Eh? Oh,
Oh, yeah. Henderson.
Just up your street, I would have thought.
Ah, yeah. In former times, yes. Not now. I cannot write copy for oblivion, Maureen. Oh, yes, that's quite impressive. Don't you think? Copy for oblivion, a good title. Did I ever tell you about my book?
Yes, Mr. Cairns, several times.
No.
Drink up, please,
That's right.
gentlemen.
Definitive work on crime and criminals, and who better to write it? Who better?
Yes, there's no more in that glass, Mr. Cairns. Can I have it?
What about visions through an empty glass? How do you like that, Maureen?
Lovely. Come on, gentlemen,
Good.
please. Haven't you got any homes to go to?
Oh, you touched a nerve there, Maureen. You touched a nerve.
Mr. Cairns. Walter.
Who's that? Look, if you're contemplating mugging, my friend, I'm barely worth the trouble, but if 67 pence is of any use...
It's Eddie. Eddie Jackson. You remember?
Of course. How goes it, Eddie? I thought you were still inside.
Come out yesterday.
Oh, congratulations. How long have you done?
3 years.
3? Oh, my God. As long as that. Ah, well, time's winged chariot, Eddie.
Yeah.
How are you? Didn't I once buy a couple of your paintings?
Yeah, last time I come out.
Now, are you still painting?
I did a bit inside.
Well, I have a friend who knows about these things. He always remarks on your paintings. A genuine natural talent, he says. A freshness.
Walter, I'd like to...
I'm sorry that at present I'm not in a position to consider buying, but of course I'd be delighted to see
I haven't
anything.
come about painting, Walter.
No? Oh. Well, how are you keeping?
You once said that if I ever needed help, I could come to you.
Did I?
Yeah. When you were doing that article about the Nick, I did you 1 or 2 good turns. I got you the Jag, you remember?
Oh, yes, the Jag. A splendid Jag.
Yeah.
My halcyon days, Eddie. Silk shirts and handmade shoes.
I'd like to talk to you, Walter.
You would? Why?
I need your advice.
Well, that's free and plentiful, but rarely sought these days.
Well, look, can we talk inside? I brought a bottle.
Oh, well, in that case, do come in. Help yourself to water.
Oh, it's up.
Oh, that's better. This is very nice.
Are you sober, Walter?
Not entirely, but you have never seen me drunk.
No, I've never seen you sober either.
If you have, Eddie.
Is there anyone else here?
Here?
In the flat?
No. I live alone. These days I see myself increasingly in Shakespearean terms. Sometimes a Falstaff, sometimes a touchstone, but often as a Lear, left alone, dependent on the occasional check from a remorseful child. Not that Lear was dependent on checks, but you know what I mean.
No, I don't. Walter, if you'll just listen.
Now, before you start, Eddie, I should explain that I am no longer a man of influence. I claim that I am working freelance, but the truth is I am unemployed. So if you're hoping for a big story saying you served 3 years for nothing, I can't help you.
No, it isn't that. I'm in trouble.
Already? With which side?
Both.
Intriguing. But I don't see how I can help. Of course I'll lend a sympathetic ear.
There could be something in it for you.
Oh, a story, you mean?
Yeah.
Well, these days it would have to be something special before any editor would let me in the building, Eddie.
It is something special.
How will it go on?
Have you heard about Henderson?
Oh, yes. Is it about Henderson?
The law thinks it is. They think I killed him.
Oh. And did you?
I know nothing about it.
Then why are the police looking for you?
I've been set up.
Betty! I've heard that one so many times I could set it to music.
Not from me, you haven't.
True, but it's a fairly constant theme from some of your colleagues. My last big story was on those lines. This man is innocent. 2 days later, he coughed the lot and sold his story to a rival paper, which is one of the reasons for my present situation. So, I tend to be rather dubious of stories of people being fixed and of police corruption.
It isn't the police.
No? Well, that makes a welcome change. Right. I'm sitting comfortably.
Billy is talking, it suddenly hits me. I'm not covered. It's only my word. The girl's gone, no name, no address, nothing. And the more I think about it, the more I can see it's all been planned. Somebody who knew me well enough to know I couldn't resist a bit of skirt popping up from nowhere.
Oh, she must have said something about herself.
Yeah, well, perhaps she did. I wasn't taking notes, was I? Well, what do you think?
Oh, well, a bit about the girl. Sounds like one of my more inspired fantasies.
It's true.
I'm not saying I don't believe you, Eddie. I've had my share of bizarre experiences with the ladies. It's your, interpretation I question. The girl may have her own reasons for wanting to remain anonymous.
Now, there's more to it than that. Whichever way you look at it, you can see what Mitchell would say.
Oh, the recently elevated Detective Inspector Mitchell is in charge, is he?
Yeah, so Billy Cochran said. And he's not going to give me the benefit of any doubt.
Oh, no. You sure the police are looking for you?
Yeah. I rang the Vic. They turned up asking for me just after I'd gone.
Have you told anyone you were coming to see me?
No. Didn't even ring Frank at the garage. Too many people there I don't know. What do I do, Walter?
I suggest you contact a lawyer and go with him to the police.
I'm not turning myself in until I know what Mitchell has on me. Well, he's got plenty already, motive, opportunity.
That isn't enough. Could apply to others.
Yeah, but they're not going to come up with a story that sounds like a bleeding fairy tale, are they?
I'm sorry, Eddie, but I really don't see how I can help. You're welcome to the city for the night, but that's all I can offer. I've given you my advice.
I thought you'd be interested.
Well, I am fascinated, but I...
Look, Walter, tomorrow you could nose round and find out what's happening. I need to know where I stand. Ain't you still got your press card?
I don't need a card. People still know my face.
Well, you could ask around. The law would think you're covering the story.
I suppose I could. Put out a few feelers. I still have a good contact at East Central.
I can pay.
Expenses, you mean?
That's right. Expenses.
I must admit the story has possibilities, unless, of course, you did it.
I've told you I didn't.
I suppose it has potential, even if you did.
So you can't lose either way, can you?
You know your man, don't you, Eddie? Now, until we know what is what, you contact no one. Understood?
Understood.
No one. My old friend Mitchell would love to end my career by charging me with aiding and abetting. Now, there are blankets in the airing cupboard in the bathroom, I think. Do you mind if I take the bottle with me as an aid to thought?
Would you call Jackson a close friend?
Yeah.
Well, then you must have known what he was going to do on the day he was released. Travelling arrangements and so on.
He said he'd make his own way home.
And where is home?
He said he'd come to the garage.
But why did he arrive a day late?
I don't know.
Oh, come on, you must have asked him where he'd been.
None of my business.
What time did he turn up at the garage?
Early. 9, something like that.
And what did he do?
Nothing. We had a chat. He had a few hours' kip. Then we went down the Vic.
Did he seem tired?
He must have been, mustn't he?
Wasn't it supposed to be some kind of celebration at the Vic?
Something like that. He just got out, didn't he?
Why did he disappear halfway through?
He didn't disappear.
Well, the general impression is 1 minute he was there, the next he was gone. Without a word to anyone. Except you.
He remembered he had to see someone. A bird, probably. You know, Eddie.
Yeah, I thought I did. Never saw him as a killer.
He had nothing to do with that.
Then why has he vanished?
I don't know, do I? I told you he might have taken off with a bird somewhere. Wouldn't be surprising, would it?
Did Jackson know that Henderson had been seeing his wife while he was inside?
Not from me.
Oh, he must have known.
We didn't talk about it.
You do realise that Jackson could be in serious trouble, don't you, pal?
All he's done is push off for a few days.
Yeah, well, he's picked a funny time. Has he got any money?
I don't know.
Jackson didn't tell you much, did he?
He's not much of a talker.
Has he contacted you since he went out of the Vic?
No.
Right. Then let's hear what you were doing on Thursday. All day.
I've told Sergeant Fox.
Now tell me.
Well, what's happening, Walter?
A great deal.
What have you heard?
I suggest you ring a lawyer.
What?
You should have told me, Eddie.
Told you what?
That you shot Henderson.
I had nothing to do with it. All they got is circumstantial. You said so yourself.
You didn't tell me everything, Eddie.
Yes, I did. I told you about Jenny.
Jenny? Oh, yes. Well, I suggest you have second thoughts on that one. The police will enjoy hearing it, but it won't stick.
It's the truth.
And then why have the police found your fingerprints in Henderson's study?
That's not possible.
Well, have you ever been to Henderson's house?
I don't even know where he lives. Where were these prints?
They found two sets. One on a whiskey glass.
Ah, planted, can't you see? They took a glass on a boat.
And they found two on the top of Henderson's desk, which is large and heavy. Was there a desk on the boat? Eddie, look, I'm not making moral judgments. As far as I'm concerned, you can gun down as many Hendersons as you like, but I don't want to be involved.
Well, I didn't do it. I tell you straight.
I think you'd better ring your lawyer, Eddie.
Look, if I wanted to get rid of Henderson, don't you think I'd have gone about it better than this? I'd have covered myself. I've got half a dozen mates who'd alibi me.
I must admit the same thought occurred to me, and I felt that you were telling the truth. But what about the prince?
Oh, I don't know. I can't understand it. But I swear I was never there. I've never used a gun in my life.
I'm sorry, Eddie.
I didn't do it, Walter.
Then how do you explain the fingerprints?
I can't.
Yeah. Where will you go?
Oh, I don't know. There's a mate in Bristol who might put me up, or I could get somebody to alibi me. Except the law will have been round everybody I know already. If I'd fixed somebody in the first place, I would have been all right. I just thought you were the best bet.
Wait a moment. Wait a moment. Assuming that you have been set up, why you, particularly?
Everybody knows that I got a score to settle with Henderson. If the law had me banged to rights, they wouldn't look any further, would they?
What the Americans call a fall guy.
Yeah, right.
Well, they've gone to a great deal of trouble. Can't be someone merely working off a grudge. They want more out of it than revenge.
It has to be someone inside Henderson's family. More business. He remarried a few months ago. Don't know much about her. Youngish, so I heard. I don't even know who he had with him in the business. It's grown very fast while I've been inside.
Is it legitimate?
As far as I know.
Well, then it shouldn't be difficult to find out more.
I thought you was kicking me out.
Well, as a story, it still has possibilities.
What about the law?
As long as you stay here and contact no one, we should be safe.
What you going to do?
Well, learn what I can about Henderson's loved ones and employees. Oh, I shall need money.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Right. Is that enough?
Oh, ample, thank you. Do you know, I feel quite elated.
That's nice.
Who's watching the garage?
Robertson.
Well?
Nothing. Powell hasn't been out all day. Even sent out for sandwiches at lunchtime. No, Jackson won't be fool enough to go there.
Powell will have to go to him, if he knows where he is.
Well, I don't think he does.
No, but he'll help him if he can. They've always been close. Although I don't think Powell's involved in the shooting. He's too wide to get mixed up in a killing with nothing in it for him. Jackson's the wild one.
Yeah, well, Jackson could be well clear of the Met by now.
No, I doubt it. He's just the same as the rest. Put him more than 5 miles from the Mile End and he stands out like a sore thumb.
Yeah, but he's probably got cash. Henderson's wallet was empty. He always carried a fair amount.
Well, he's sitting tight while somebody makes transport arrangements.
Well, we've checked every associate on a file, and there's no family.
Yeah. Right, then. We better step things up. I'll see the press again and contact the telly people. They can put out a picture.
You took your time.
Well, I've had to cover a lot of ground. I've brought you provisions.
I can't sit drinking all day. What about something to eat? Sweet FA in a fridge.
Well, I rarely eat in. Well, I rarely eat. There you are. Cold chicken, French bread, salmon, soup, pate.
Where'd you go for this lot? Harrods?
No. There's a very good little shop on the corner, run by a foreigner, needless to say. I brought you an evening paper.
Oh.
Not a very flattering likeness, is it? No. You look capable of unspeakable crimes. And really, it is time they changed the jargon. Who may be able to help them with their inquiries? Anxious to interview. So banal.
Well, that's it then. Mitchell must have enough to charge me.
Oh, easily.
Do you want me to go?
No, I think I'll try some of this pate.
Oh, I'm okay to stay until the money runs out, is that it?
Oh, unkind. And uncalled for, Eddie. Your money has been well spent.
Well, I can see that.
Now, don't jump to conclusions. I have had a profitable day. Let me see. Henderson Enterprises. 3 clubs, all with gambling. A bingo hall, 5 amusement arcades, 2 betting shops, limited company. Only 2 directors. Now, one, of course.
Well, who's that?
Mrs. Henderson. Jackie.
Oh.
Late 30s. Formerly a dancer, reputed to be devoted to Jim Henderson. Devastated by his death, according to popular report. Now staying with friends. On the night of the shooting, she was at her sister's in Bournemouth. She is expected to run the business when she returns.
Who's looking after it now?
This is where things become interesting. Ken Vincent, ex-CID, and colleague of Inspector Mitchell, did 2.5 years for corruption, came out in 76. Ken Vincent, you probably know him.
You know him? He lost me a month's remission, didn't he?
Well, you came across him inside.
Yeah, Wakefield. I'll give him a spanking.
Personal, or just because he was ex-CID?
Vincent and 2 of his mates give me a going over once when they fetched me in. Resisting arrest, you know. When I saw him inside, I squared things up.
He had quite a reputation for nastiness.
He's the worst I've known, either side of the law. He thinks I shopped him.
And did you?
I don't shop people. Not even ex-coppers. I never knew he worked for Henderson.
Well, I think it has been kept rather quiet. He's manager of the club at Southend, or rather he was. He's now taken over as general manager, based at Ilford. From your point of view, it begins to look interesting.
Yeah?
A proven enemy, close to Henderson. Mitchell's bound to know about it. Of course, he will have checked on Vincent. And his relationship with Jackie Henderson.
Yeah. Is there anything there?
Oh, well, I don't know. It seems unlikely. The police will have gone into that one very deeply. But if Vincent is involved...
do me a favour.
If Vincent is involved, he must know the girl.
Which?
The one who picked you up. What was her name?
Jenny?
Yes.
Well, that won't be her name, of course, and she'll have pushed off somewhere dead smartish. I tried to write down what I remember about her. Here. Well, it ain't much.
No.
But I made a sketch of her face, see?
Yeah.
Well, I think it's a fair likeness. She's not very tall, about 5'2".
Oh, well, that's better. I can see now why you stopped her. Pretty little gift horse, isn't she?
She's a lying cow.
Yes, but pretty. Yes, she must be very close to Ken Vincent to do that for him, and she must have quite a nerve. Not to mention dubious morals. Yes. I'll keep this.
No, you won't find her.
Nevertheless, I shall try. She's worth looking for.
Where will you start?
The club at Southend.
Tonight?
Yes. Vincent is such a lovable character that someone there's bound to want to tell me about him. Yes. I shall have to take a taxi, of course.
May I have another drink?
In a moment. I don't suppose we could slip outside for a real drink.
I'm sorry, it's not allowed.
I know. I know you're supposed to sit with me and see that I keep buying, while you sip cold tea and I drink what tastes like watered-down Algerian whiskey.
You know all about it, do you?
I'm afraid I do, Elaine.
Are you the police?
No. I hope I don't look it.
No, I just thought. Well, you haven't come here to enjoy yourself, have you?
Does anyone? No, I'm looking for a girl.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, purely business. This girl.
Oh, that's good. Did you draw that?
Yes. It's a sketch from memory of a girl I once met here. At least I think it was here. It was rather a heavy night. Do you know her?
Why do you want to know?
I'm a commercial artist. She's just what I need for some drawings I have to make, fashion drawings.
Honestly?
Oh, yeah. I did discuss it with her. She gave me her name and phone number, but I lost them. I feel sure I met her here. Do you know her, Elaine?
Yes, I think so. I'm almost certain. It looks like Judy. Judy Pearson. She used to be an actress, of course. Lovely poise.
Judy Pearson. Well, that's it. Oh, dear. Is she still around?
No, not at present.
But normally she works here.
Yes, behind the bar.
She here tonight?
No, she's on holiday.
Oh, that's rather early in the year for a holiday, unless she's gone abroad.
Oh, no, she's staying in a cottage on the coast, Norfolk.
Do you have her address?
I do, but she said I wasn't to tell anyone. She only told me so as I could forward any letters. Her mother writes to her a lot.
But Judy would hardly mind my knowing. It could be very important to her career.
I don't know.
Well, she was very enthusiastic when we discussed the project.
Well, I suppose she would want to see you. I've got it written down somewhere. Oh, here.
May I?
Yes.
Here. Yeah, look, I'm most grateful. Has Judy contacted you at all?
Oh, she rang last night.
Oh.
Sounded a bit fed up, actually.
Oh, she's on the phone.
Oh, I don't think so. She was ringing from a pub. I think she wanted to chat.
Did she say if she was alone at the cottage?
Oh, she didn't say, but I think she is. It sounded like it.
Why has she gone?
A few days' rest, she said. Seemed odd. Judy's like me, hardly the open-air type. But it doesn't do to ask too many questions in this place.
Oh?
No. You ought to be careful as well.
Oh. Why is that?
Judy's got a very possessive boyfriend, Ken Vincent. He managed this place up to last week. Well, I call him a boyfriend. I don't know, really. He still takes an interest in her, if you know what I mean. Like I said, it doesn't do to ask. He can be very nasty.
Is he here tonight?
Oh, no. Moved to Ilford, thank God.
Well, it would perhaps be better if you didn't tell Mr. Vincent about our little chat. And, yes, for your trouble.
Oh, thank you. Oh, but there's no need.
No. You take it.
Oh, I won't say anything. I wouldn't give that bastard the time of day. Not that we see much of him now. Oh, are you going?
Yes. I've enjoyed talking to you, Elaine.
Oh, well, could you sketch me like that sometime?
Well, I'll look you up the next time I'm out this way. I'll give you a ring.
Oh, promise?
Promise.
That's it, then. It's got to be her.
It certainly looks like it.
Right. Let's go and find out. Where'd you keep your car?
It's parked in the forecourt, but look, just slow down a little, Eddie. We need to think.
Look, it's obvious. She's Vincent's bird and he used her to set me up.
If it's so obvious, all we need to do is tell the police.
Oh, not yet.
Why not?
If the police turn up at her door, all she has to say is she knows nothing about it. Vincent would have made sure she's got a story ready.
You said you told Frank Powell about the girl picking you up.
Yeah.
Will he have been questioned by the police?
Almost certain. Why?
Well, if Frank has told them what you said about the girl, that puts you in a better position now. We can tell the police where she is and let them get on with it.
You reckon Mitchell's going to go swanning round Norfolk to clear me?
Well, he will. If he already knows there's a girl involved, when he finds her, he'll know what kind of questions to ask. Can't you see that?
Yeah, but I don't think Frank would have told him.
Why not?
Well, a golden rule. When in doubt, tell him nothing.
Oh, yes. But we need to know.
Well, I could ring Frank and ask him to tell Mitchell about Jenny.
Oh, and then as if by magic, we produce this girl he's just heard about. You know what Mitchell would say to that.
Yeah, suppose so. So what do we do?
Telephone Frank. Ask him if he's told Mitchell about the girl. If he has, then we leave it to the police. Agreed?
All right. But what if he hasn't?
Well, I shall go and see her before we inform the police.
We'll go. There's no way I'm staying cooped up here. Besides, you're not sober enough to drive, you never get there.
Well, shall we argue that one out after you've telephoned Frank?
Yeah. Well, I'll try the garage first. He's often there Saturdays.
Well, say as little as possible.
Yeah, all right.
Powell taxis?
How's the weather that end?
Clear at the moment. I've been waiting all day for you to ring. Do you need any money or a motor?
No, I'm all right.
All right? You're really right up your eyebrows, old son.
Yeah, well, I think I've got it sorted.
Sorted? How?
I'm onto something. I'll be in touch.
Where are you?
I'm on the move soon. I'll see you, Frank.
Eddie!
Frank hasn't told Mitchell about the girl. So we go and find her, right?
No, Eddie, we need to go into this.
If we're picked up, I forced you into it, OK?
It's almost midnight now. It'll be 3 in the morning before we get there.
We'll have to wake her up then, shan't we? You got the car keys?
Well?
This is it, all right. Fairview. Name's on the front door.
She may not be alone.
There's no car park there.
What can we do with this godforsaken hour? Do you really think she's going to open the door to anyone at this time?
No chance. I'm going in.
No, listen, Eddie.
There's a window round the back, only needs a push.
Look, I think I should see her first.
You just said she won't open the door. If we sit and wait until morning, the odds are somebody will see us and get on the blower to the local Nick. And if you do see her, she'll just deny everything and then go straight on to Vincent.
She could just as easily deny everything to you.
You think so?
Now, I won't condone violence, Eddie.
I won't need to touch her.
She can admit what she likes to you. She needs to tell it to Mitchell of her own free will. If you drag her to the police, she'll only have to scream intimidation, and you're in worse trouble than before. Remember that.
All right. You never know. I might find a bed for the night if I'm gentle enough. You wait in the car. Judy.
What?
Just take it easy, darling. I'm not going to hurt you. I only want to talk. I'm not a phantom raper. All right? Good.
Oh, my God.
Now, just relax, Judy. It is Judy, isn't it? Not Jenny. Do you remember me?
Eddie.
Yeah.
Oh, how did you get in?
I think you've got some explaining to do.
I swear I didn't know what it was about, Eddie. I didn't know until later. No, I wouldn't have done it.
All right. I believe you.
No, I thought it was some kind of practical joke. Well, that's what he told me.
Who? Ken Vincent?
Yeah.
Judy, I want to know exactly what he told you to do.
I was to pick you up, well, just the way it happened, and take you to the lounge and keep you there until early morning. Then drop you off at Upminster.
What would have happened if I hadn't stopped to help you?
I'd have to find a way of picking you up in the village.
Yeah. I went out like a light on the boat. Did you put something in my drink?
Yeah, it was something Ken gave me. He said it was harmless.
Why was I given it?
Ken came while you were asleep. He did something to your hand.
What did he do?
I couldn't see properly. He was doing something to your hand. He had some sellotape.
What?
Well, that's what he looked like. I couldn't see.
All right.
He never told me, Eddie. I didn't know.
What about when you heard about Henderson?
Oh, I didn't know it had anything to do with that. No, not until I saw the papers. Well, then Ken told me I had to stay here. He said it would be all over in a week. I didn't know what to do.
You could be charged with accessory to murder. Do you know that?
Oh, Eddie, I didn't know.
You know now. Look, all you've got to do is tell the police. If you tell them first before they come for you, you'll be all right. They'll waive charges. All you've got to do is pick up the phone.
No, that isn't a phone here.
You'll find a phone box.
Well, I'm not leaving here.
All right. Judy, I'm giving you a chance. They'll throw the book at you.
I didn't know.
Well, who's going to believe that?
I'm frightened.
Well, there's no need to be frightened of me.
I'm frightened of everything, everybody. Ken said you'd kill me.
Yeah, well, he would, wouldn't he? Look, Judy, I've got a car outside. I'll take you to the police.
No, I won't leave here.
But just calm down. Take it easy. Listen to me. Listen. How about this? I'll ring the law and tell them to come and see you here. All you've got to do is to tell them what happened. That I was with you all night. Okay?
Yeah, okay.
Look, now, why don't you come with me? It could all be over.
No, you phone them.
Will you tell them the truth?
Yeah, I will, but please go.
But I won't be long. Sure. Afterwards we can have a good laugh about all this.
Please go.
Right, I'll find a call box. And just sit and wait, all right? Good. All right. All right, I'm going.
Police, East Central. East Central Police Station.
Can I speak to Detective Inspector Mitchell?
I'm sorry, he's not on duty. Who's that speaking, please?
Is there anyone there who's on the Henderson case?
If you can hang on, sir, I can put you on to someone.
I haven't got time. Write this down. Fairview Cottage, Hunter's Lane, Stanningham, Norfolk. You got that?
Yes. If I could just have your name, sir.
Tell Mitchell there's a girl at that address who has information about the Henderson killing. It's important.
Where are you ringing from,
Tell
sir?
him to go there now. She's waiting.
We should have stayed and watched.
Now, that would have been impossible without making ourselves conspicuous. You could have stayed in the cottage with Judy.
She wouldn't let me. She was nearly having hysterics as it was. And I'm keeping clear of the law until I know what she said.
Well, I'll ring the police press officer tomorrow. There's bound to be some sort of statement issued.
Just hope she tells the truth, that's all.
She hasn't got much choice now.
Poor kid's frightened silly. She won't be able to bluff it out, even if she does change her mind. Mitchell will get it out of her.
Especially after he's been dragged out of bed at 3 in the morning.
Yeah.
Try the handle.
It isn't locked.
Yeah, wait. Thompson, round the back. Scott, you come with us.
Sir. Hello? Anybody in? Hello?
Where's the light switch?
Oh, I see her.
Hello? Scott, you look upstairs.
Sir.
Go carefully. Come on, Sergeant.
Governor. Here.
What? Oh. Yeah, well, don't move her more than you have to.
Yeah, she's dead. Rigor mortis just started.
Let's see. Yeah, she's gone. Blow to the face.
She could have fallen.
No sign of bleeding. All marks on the throat. Could have been smothered, I suppose. Plenty of cushions about.
There's one there beneath her chair.
Yeah, leave it where it is.
Looks as if she was expecting somebody. Fully dressed, makeup on as well.
Get back to the car and put a call through. doctor, ambulance, photographer, the usual circus.
Yeah, we could have done without this.
Yeah, so could she. Well, thank God we gave the local nick a call that we were on their patch.
Yeah.
They're going to love us. Right, get moving, Sergeant.
Okay.
Oh, nothing upstairs, sir. The bed's been slept in.
Oh. Oh, indeed. First dead body you've seen?
Yes, sir.
Well, you'll see worse than that before you draw your pension.
Yes, sir.
Did you find that, or do you usually carry one?
But, sir?
The handbag.
Oh, yeah, I found it upstairs, sir.
Let's see. Ah, yeah.
They're on their way. None too pleased. Oh, any joy?
Well, if this is hers, she's Judy Pearson, or was. Miss.
Local?
No, an address in Southend on her driving licence. Your old stamping ground. You know it?
Yeah. It's a couple of minutes' walk away from Henderson's club.
Well, where Ken Vincent was manager?
Yeah.
Right. Let's get things moving. Phone?
You'll have to use the one in the car, Gov. There isn't one here.
You know, I could well make the Sundays with this.
Oh, jumping the gun a bit, aren't you?
Oh, I should have to wait until after the trial, of course. But an in-depth article with my own byline should re-establish me.
How did you get the chop?
Oh, I made a spectacular botch of a couple of very big stories. I wasn't where I should have been, and when I was, I didn't know what I was doing there.
Well, this story's going to shake 'em.
Oh, yes. I shall stuff it down their throats. In a polite sort of way, of course. What are your future plans, Eddie?
No, I shall go in with Frank at the garage.
Going straight?
I think so. I don't know, do I?
Well, if you don't know, who does? You've spent, what, a total of 12 years in prison?
Yeah, about that.
12 years out of 44? It's what businessmen would call a poor return on investment.
Well, I've got a share in the garage.
You could also have some very dubious friends. This business should have taught you one important lesson.
No? What's that?
Your own kind have put you where you are now, on the run, wanted for murder. Remember that. You think you're a hard man, but you have an outdated sense of honour amongst thieves, Eddie.
How would you know? I can name you a dozen people I would trust with my life.
Oh.
A dozen. My own kind. Vincent ain't my own kind. He come from your side.
And do you think he's done this without any help?
No, well, we'll see. And I can do without the sermons. I'll get enough of that from Mitchell. Want a fag?
No, thank you.
Well, I thought there would have been something on the 1 o'clock news.
I told you. That was very unlikely. The police could hardly issue a statement saying that an important witness had come forward, etc., etc. Vincent would be very interested.
Well, nobody's going to tell you anything then, are they?
I have a good contact at East Central. I helped to get his son into journalism, if that can be called a favour.
Look, try again. Where are you going?
To the Eagle. It's almost opposite the station. There's bound to be someone in there.
You spent half your life in pubs.
Oh, echoes of my wife, Eddie. No, don't worry. Truth is right and shall prevail.
You sound stoned even when you're sober, do you know that? Just try the phone again first. You get in the pub, I won't see you again till chugging out time.
Oh, all right. Yes. Thank you, Jeff. There's no doubt at all, is there? All right. No, not a word. Thank you again.
Well?
Acting upon information received, the police visited a house in Norfolk during the early hours of the morning in connection with the Henderson case. There, they found the body of a young woman. No further details are available at present. The press officer's going to release that at 3 o'clock. Mitchell is giving a full press conference when he gets back from Norfolk.
God, I should have stayed with her. I should have made the call and then gone back.
She wouldn't have let you in, Eddie.
I shouldn't have left her. She was liable to do anything.
It wasn't suicide, Eddie. She was murdered.
Poor little bitch. And I thought she was going to put me in the clear.
Yes, so did Ken Vincent. But how did he know?
Well, he knew she was at the cottage. He took her there.
Yeah, but how did he know you had seen her?
Well, perhaps she phoned him after I left. He came there, saw she was in a panic and killed her.
You said she was too terrified to leave the cottage. Her phone box is miles away.
She was too scared to put a foot outside the door.
Well, then how did Vincent know?
Well, what about the bird you talked to at the club? She could have told him somebody had been round asking questions.
I doubt that. She hates Vincent.
Well, Vincent could have a snout inside the law.
That's very unlikely.
Why? Somebody at the station could have slipped him the word. Vincent could still have contacts there. He wasn't the only one who was bent. He could be pressuring somebody for information. Well, it must have taken some time to get the word on to Mitchell. By that time, Vincent could have been on his way.
It's possible, but at the present time, academic.
I'm in deeper than I was before.
Yes. Well, what are you going to do?
Clear out. What else can I do? Mitchell will soon get onto that bird you talked to at Southend. She'll put them onto you. Mitchell knows you know me, and I probably left Dabbs at the cottage.
Elaine may not be able to give the police much of a description.
Walter, you're the sort of bloke people remember. She'll remember enough. Your voice for a start. Mitchell will soon be onto that. The law will be round here before the day's out. Oh, I'm sorry, Walter. I've landed you right in it.
Eddie, your only chance now is to go to Mitchell yourself and tell him the whole story.
No chance.
I should be able to substantiate some of what you say.
Not the bits that matter. You'll have to say that I was at the cottage and I was alone with Judy. That could put me away for life.
But the police are bound to establish a connection between Judy and Vincent. They may come up with something there.
Vincent will have an alibi, watertight. Look, Walter, give me a couple of hours. Then go to the law and clear yourself with Mitchell. Tell him I conjure. Tell him anything you like.
Where can you go?
Well, clear of the Met for a start. Once I've got some more money in a car. Just give me a few hours, okay?
Middle-aged, heavily built, well-dressed, greying hair. Well, it's not much to go on, is it?
Well, the girl didn't get a very good look at him. The light was poor.
Well, he doesn't fit any of the known associates in Jackson's file.
Hey, he said he'd done the sketch.
No, it was Jackson's. This character was hawking it round for him. But why a drawing of this particular girl?
Well, Judy could have been an ex-girlfriend of Jackson's holding money for him. Jackson needs money.
Well, if he knew her that well, he'd have an address or a phone number. No, I can't see Jackson and Vincent sharing the same girl.
No, there was trouble between them inside.
You sure Vincent's clear?
Looks like it.
And Jackson left prints all over the cottage. We even know how he got in. Why should he kill her?
To shut her up.
Well, what could she say that will put him in a bigger mess than he's in already? Well-dressed, greying hair, cultured accent. Well, she actually said cultured.
Yeah.
Sounds like a con man.
Well, I'll have another look in the file.
Hold on a minute. Well, it's Cairns. Walter Cairns.
Cairns? Does he know Jackson?
Well, yeah, before your time. Walter was always on about Jackson's paintings.
I've seen Cairns recently. When you talked to the press.
Right, let's have him in.
Howell's taxis?
How's the weather that end?
Clear. Where are you?
At your place. I ain't seen any law.
Are you at Member Street?
No, Elm Close.
Ah, you won't see any law there. They still think I live at the flat in Member Street. Is Bet there?
No. I had to break in. I thought coming to the garage was too risky. I need a motor, Frank, and some cash.
Right. You just stay where you are. I'll be out to you.
You being watched that end?
No, not now. Just stay put, old son. An hour at the most, all right?
Yeah, right.
And look, if Bet does come...
Yeah?
Oh, forget it. There isn't time. I'll see you, Eddie.
Right. Hello, Bet.
Eddie, what are you doing here?
I didn't mean to scare you. Afraid I had to break in.
Well, That's all right. I thought you'd be miles away by now.
Yeah, I will be as soon as I can. I'm sorry.
You can stay as long as you like, Eddie. You know that. Well, come through the kitchen. I'll put the kettle on in a minute.
Right.
Or would you rather have a spot of brandy?
Oh, no, tea will be fine.
You look done in.
Yeah, I had a rough night.
Can I get you something to eat?
Ah, no, thanks. Frank should be here soon.
He knows you're here?
Yeah, I rang him. He's bringing me a car and some cash, I hope.
You didn't kill Henderson, did you, Eddie?
No.
Oh, I thought not. It didn't make sense. Look, why run? It only makes it worse.
Well, I can't prove I didn't do it, Ben. And the filth can prove I did. Ain't Frank told you?
No.
There was a girl who would have cleared me. She's dead. That one's down to me as well. Somebody set me up good and proper.
Do you know who?
Ken Vincent, for one. You won't know him.
I've heard of him. Eddie, before you see Frank, there's something you ought to know.
Yeah?
He's changed.
Well, he seems just the same to me.
You've hardly seen him since you come out.
Well, he's going straight. Perhaps that's it. You were always on at him.
You think he's going straight?
Well, it looks like it.
I never see him, Eddie. He's never at home.
Well, the garage is a full-time business, but long hours.
He's never there.
I rang him last night. And half an hour ago he was there both times.
Only because he had to be there in case you rang.
What's wrong, Bet?
Don't trust him, Eddie.
What? I've known Frank since we were kids. Longer than you've known him.
He's not the same man. Oh, there's a lot you don't know. All this business, Henderson getting killed, you getting blamed. Frank's mixed up in it.
Only because he's helping me.
I don't mean now. I mean before you come out.
Bet you're not making sense.
He's here now. Don't say anything, Eddie, please.
Bet, what are you on about?
Be careful. Don't go with him.
I didn't think you'd be home yet.
Ma's over at Bob's. I didn't fancy going there. I've only just got in. Eddie's going to need a change of clothes. I'll see what I can find him. He's near enough your size.
I want a towel and a razor, Bet.
Yeah, right.
Be as quick as you can, then go over to your Madge's. You've been there all day, right?
Yes.
What she doesn't hear can't hurt her.
Well, Bet knows how to keep her mouth shut.
Yeah, well, I'm out of favour these days. She been here long?
Well, like she said, only a few minutes.
Right. Cash. I got together what I could.
Yeah.
There's about 300 there.
Oh,
all
great.
used onces.
What about the car?
I bought the van. I'll drive you out. You remember that lay-by near Epping? We used to use it?
Yeah.
There's a car waiting there. I've got an address in Liverpool. He'll get you over to Southern Ireland. Once you're over there...
I think I should push off, Frank.
Well, no choice, have you, old son? The filth's turning the manor inside out. Mitchell's got 2 killings down to you.
2?
Henderson and the girl.
Where'd you hear about a girl?
Radio. 1 o'clock news. Haven't you heard? Mitchell's bound to put it down to you.
Oh, I saw her last night. She was going to tell the whole lot to the police. Would have cleared me.
What happened?
Vincent got to her before the law.
You reckon it's Vincent?
I know it is.
Right. Once I've got you away, I'll start asking round. There's no time to hang about, old son. We can talk in the car.
I've put in what I thought would fit.
Good. Right, you better get moving, Eddie.
What about some sandwiches and a flask?
There isn't time.
Well, I shall need something. I've not eaten all day.
I'll see to it. Won't be long.
Oh, Tom. I don't think I should clear off, Frank.
What else can you do? They've got your bank to rights.
Have they? You ever hear of anything between Jackie Henderson and Ken Vincent?
No. I'll see what I can find out.
Well, they set me up. I go down for Henderson's murder. She comes into the business and shares it with Vincent.
You'll not go down. I'll get you over the water. You'll be all right.
How can he be all right?
Nobody's asking you. Get the bloody move on, will you?
What chance has Eddie got if he runs?
I've told you.
Why don't you tell him the truth, Frank? Why don't you?
Shut your mouth and get out.
Evil, Frank.
She's round a bloody bend.
Tell me what, Bet?
Eddie, we can't afford to hang about. This is just a family row, me and Bet.
Tell me what?
He'll ask around about her and Ken Vincent. He knows them both, Eddie. Especially her.
She's bloody raving.
You think I don't know? You've been seeing her for
I'm
months.
sorry about this, old son. She's off her head every time I look at another bird.
It's Jackie Henderson I'm talking about, not another bird. I've had you watched, Frank.
You what?
You didn't know, did you? Steve, Madge's boy's been watching you. Last week you met her and went to Ken Vincent's flat. He come along later.
Frank, do you know him?
No, I don't.
What about Jackie Henderson?
Out of my class, old son.
So you're saying that Bet's lying?
No. Somebody's having her on, that's all. Things have been dicey between us lately. She's ready to believe anything.
Eddie, listen. A year ago, Frank was up to his eyes in debt, gambling.
So, what's new about that?
You know where he was in debt? Henderson's club in Ilford. And a betting shop.
I have to bet somewhere, don't I?
Then suddenly, a few months ago, everything's all right again. Plenty of money about, but I never see him.
That's it, isn't it? All this performance because I don't stay in nights. Come on, Eddie, we ought to be moving.
No. I'm turning myself in.
What? Mitchell's after putting you inside and throwing the bloody keys away, old son. Don't take any notice of her. She's stirring it. All right. I haven't been dead straight. I've had some contact with Henderson.
Including Ken Vincent?
Including him. I got the contract for taking Henderson's late-night staff home, didn't I? Nice fat contract for a full year. I had to see him. And her. I had to soft soap them. They put a lot of money our way. Business, old son. That's the game you have to play if you're going straight.
You said you didn't know him.
OK, I lied. I knew you wouldn't like it.
Eddie, don't believe him.
All right. What are you saying? That I set you up? Is that what you're saying? I realise you've been under pressure, but bloody hell, old son. You think I'd do that? Why would I do a thing like that?
Because you're frightened.
I've told you.
He's frightened of you, Eddie. Because of Karen.
Karen?
Don't listen to her, Eddie.
What about Karen?
He made you think it was Henderson. It wasn't Henderson. Not at first. It was him. As soon as you were inside, he never left her alone.
Eddie asked me to keep an eye on Karen.
He didn't ask you to bloody sleep with her.
She's round a twist, Eddie.
He thought I'd gone out for the day. I come home early. I found him in bed together. In this house.
Eddie, it's all rubbish.
Shut up!
I said I'd keep quiet if it stopped. Karen promised she wouldn't see him again. She didn't know what she was doing half the time. I think it did stop. Then she started to see Vincent and Henderson. He passed her on.
I've never heard such a load
I've
of...
got to know the truth.
It's God's truth, Eddie. I wish it wasn't. Oh, I've put up with a lot from Frank, and I stood by him. You know that. I would have kept quiet about Karen, and I begun to see what he was doing to you.
Doing to him? If I wanted to, I could have shot him on Friday when he turned up at the garage.
You didn't do that because he wouldn't have looked right to the police. You expected him to be picked up in the afternoon anyway.
I could have shot you now, Eddie, as soon as you rang me from here.
No, you couldn't. You didn't know what Judy had told me.
Who the hell is Judy?
She's the poor bitch Vincent had killed. Didn't you know?
Who do you believe, Eddie? Her or me? That's what it comes down to. Bet's always been trying to break us up. You didn't know that, did you? Women have no idea what friendship means.
Friendship? It was all right when Eddie was young and looked up to you. Then he got to be as good as you. Better. Eddie had style. People admired him. You didn't like that. He's jealous, Eddie. He's been jealous for years. That's why he took Karen, because she was yours.
You cow. You lying cow.
You keep away from me and I'll use this. I will.
Just look at her, Eddie. Shouting the odds, waving a bread knife. Her mother was like that. Every other Saturday night in Thompson's Court, they took her away in the end.
Eddie, why didn't Frank send a car for you on the day you were released?
Well, he said they were busy.
There were cars and drivers doing nothing all that morning. I checked the books. I offered to go and fetch you myself. He said no.
Can't you see she's putting ideas into your
You
head?
were the only person who knew I was going to see the girl last night. I rang you.
You said nothing about the
I
girl.
said I got it sorted. You knew that meant I'd found where Judy was.
Eddie, if you'll just listen...
No, I've listened enough, Frank. You couldn't have heard about Judy on the 1 o'clock news, Frank. Wasn't on. Who have you got waiting for me when I get out of the van? Prove me wrong, Frank.
I don't have to. As far as Mitchell's concerned, it's all down to you.
Not when he hears what I've got to say. And Bet.
He won't hear Bet.
You think I won't tell him?
You won't get the chance.
You once told me only mugs carried shooters, Frank. You carry one day you'll use it, you said.
I said a lot of things.
You fire that thing, somebody's going to die all 3 nines before you get to the end of the road.
I don't need to run. You should have cleared off while you had the chance, Eddie.
Bloody hell, Frank.
Just keep back.
You're finished, Frank. Why don't you just take the van and go?
Finished? Not me, old son. You. You've been holding me and Bet at gunpoint because we wouldn't help you. I rushed you, you shot Bet, then I got the gun and used it on you. Self-defense. You or me? Number 1 first, old son. I told you that as well.
What about me?
You? You don't count.
No?
Keep back.
No! I don't count. After 20 years, I don't count.
God, Eddie!
Get me something, Bet. A towel or something. He's bleeding. Are you all right, Bet? You hurt?
I told him.
Bet, get me a towel. Now, move your hands, Frank. I need another towel, Bet. Bet!
He would have done it, Eddie. What he said.
Get on the phone for an ambulance. Take it easy, Frank. Bet, the phone!
Yeah.
She's done me, Eddie.
Don't talk, Frank. Just keep still.
Take your time. Read it through carefully.
Yeah. I've read it.
Have anyone changed?
Nah. You got a pen?
Yeah. Sign there as well.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, what happens now?
You can go. Just keep yourself available.
You're not charging me?
No.
I'm sure we could think of something, Jackson, but for the present we're not charging you.
What about my prints at Henderson's?
Well, you said you weren't there.
I wasn't.
Well, we believe you. Don't push your luck, Jackson. Just go.
Yeah. Any, word on Frank?
He lost a lot of blood, but he'll live.
Has he said anything?
No, he doesn't have to. Jackie Henderson said it all.
Oh. You got her in?
Yep.
What about Vincent?
Well, he's on his way in.
Ah.
Now, look, Jackson, don't push your luck. Just shove off. We'll see to it.
Look, Bet's in no condition to make a statement.
Well, she hasn't made one yet.
Well, can I fix for a lawyer to be there when she does?
Yeah, if you like.
Well, it's got to be self-defence, isn't it?
Well, I don't see any problems. You would have saved everybody a lot of trouble, Jackson, if you'd come straight to us.
What? You'd have laughed like drains and put me away.
Yeah, we've seen setups before.
Not like this one.
No, perhaps not. Still, you're a very lucky man.
Am I? Is, Walter still here? The address? Yeah. Road. Oh. What time would you like it? 3:30. Yeah. A car will be there. Right. Thank you. Bye. Hello, Walter.
Keeping busy, I see.
Yeah, well, I said I'd keep an eye on things while Bet was away.
Ah, yes. How is she?
Oh, not too bad, considering. She's gone away with her sister for a few days. Well, how's things?
Oh, well, I've just had lunch with Henry Carmichael.
Who's he?
The publisher. James and Carmichael.
Oh, it's going to be a book?
Yes. Well, there's far too much for an article. Although there's a possibility of serialization in one of the Sundays. I'm seeing the editor tomorrow. I shall squeeze him for the most expensive food and drink I can find.
You're going to make a bomb, is it?
Well, Henry is very optimistic. Oh, some money will come your way, of course.
Oh, nice.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, yes. And Henry is very keen on using your sketch of Judy as the cover. It could lead to bigger things.
Oh, I'll start looking round for a studio straight away. You started writing it yet?
I've drafted an outline. There's plenty of time. It's still sub judice. I'm gathering background material at present.
Did you get anything out of Mitchell about my prints?
No. No, he's been very cagey. But, I've had a chat to an ex-CID man. He came up with something after I mentioned what Judy had said about sellotape.
How was it done?
Well, he said... Look, have you got any tape?
Tape, somewhere.
Ah, good.
Here you are.
Good, good. Vincent had a strip of tape, like this.
Mm-hmm.
Give me a hand.
Yep.
When you were asleep on the launch, get to the world, he got a mirror or something like that, pressed your fingers down, so.
Yeah.
Got your prints, stuck the tape over them,
yeah.
Put the mirror in a plastic bag, Then took it very carefully to Henderson's and transferred the prints from the tape. So. And your prints turn up on the desk. Clever?
As easy as that?
Well, in actual practice, I don't think it is easy. Vincent must have perfected the technique, but it's been done before. Vincent probably came across it when he was in the CID.
And who did the killings?
Well, that won't emerge until the trial. Although I understand that Jackie Henderson was very talkative when the police interviewed her. At a guess, I would say that they brought in somebody from the north for Henderson's murder, but Judy was probably killed by Vincent himself.
And was Frank in on everything?
Must have been. Right from the start. Did you never suspect Frank yourself?
No. Never. Not until I saw Bet. Then from the first thing she said, I knew. All kinds of things began to make new. But I wanted him to explain it away. I feel sick, really. I'd have given anything.
No honour amongst thieves, Eddie.
Yeah, you told me. Not much honour anywhere, is there? Let's go and have a drink.
In A Pretty Little Gift Horse by T.D. Webster, Eddie Jackson was played by John Hollis, Walter Cairns by Hayden Jones, and Frank Powell by Michael Kilgarriff. Inspector Mitchell was Stephen Thorne, Sergeant Fox, Terry Malloy, Judy, Hedley Nicklaus, and Betty Powell, Maggie McCarthy. Elaine was Elizabeth Marlowe, the prison governor, Ralph Lawton, the chief warder, Andrew Staines, Billy, Adrian Bracken, and Detective Constable Thompson, Peter Brooks. The play was directed in our Birmingham studios by Roger Pine.
A Fall of Moondust by Arthur C. Clarke, adapted for radio by Andrew Lynch, with David Buck as Captain Pat Harris, Barry Foster as Engineer Jim Lawrence, Roland Karam as Tourist Commissioner Davis, Bill Simpson as Commodore Hanstein, Richard Pearson as Dr. Lawson, James Aubrey as Morris Spencer, Libby Morris as Myrie Schuster, Harry Tarb as Irving Schuster, and Jane Knowles as Stewardess Sue Wilkins. A Fall of Moondust.
Okay.
That's good. We're going to be beautiful.
Welcome aboard, sir. Madam.
Oh, hi.
Hi.
Hope the ship's big enough to take me, Irving. Seems awful small.
Stop worrying, Myra.
I just don't want to get stuck in a seat.
Everywhere we go, you say that. It's not happened yet.
There's always a first time.
Look, we didn't come all the way to the moon for you to get stuck in a seat. Just enjoy the cruise.
How long is the trip expected to last, young lady?
4 hours, madam.
Do we sit anywhere?
Yes, Selene has been designed to give a panoramic view for all its passengers.
Well, I'll stay here at the front, if you don't mind.
I'm sure you'll be very comfortable. Well, welcome aboard, sir.
Hello.
Welcome aboard.
My name is Jayawardena. Do I sit anywhere?
Just sit anywhere, sir. All seats have a perfect view.
Thank you.
Have you got room for your knees?
Everything shipshape, sir?
Yes, Captain Harris. Full complement, as usual.
Good. Catering facilities checked?
Of course.
I'd like the seafood morning, if that's possible.
I'll see what I can do, Pat.
Good. I'll complete my pre-cruise checks. These are nice seats.
Welcome aboard.
Oh, I hope I haven't kept you waiting, young lady.
No, sir. You are the last, but not late.
Ah.
You'll find a seat down on the right there.
Thank you. That'll be fine.
Excuse me. The young man in uniform who went through to the front.
Captain Harris has just gone to the bridge.
Are you the only 2 crew members?
That's right.
Oh, dear.
Don't worry. The Selene's a very simple ship to operate.
Don't think I'm making a fuss, miss, but That door seems a bit flimsy. I mean, compared with an aircraft door back on Earth.
The moon creates her own conditions. Just relax and enjoy the trip. Cellini's been through the most rigorous safety checks.
You okay, Myra?
Fine, Irving. These seats are very comfortable.
Yeah, it's a neat little ship.
I think that's one of the things I like best about the moon. Everything is so clean.
We're a long way from 39th.
New York's still home. I hope the apartment's okay.
David will look after everything.
Welcome aboard, Cellini. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Sue, and Captain Harris and I are pleased you could join us on the only sightseeing trip across a lunar sea. We shall be away from Port Roris about 4 hours, and our first objective will be Crater Lake, where we will have a breathtaking view of the mountains of inaccessibility. To reach our destination, we shall travel across the Sea of Thirst, ironically named because it is formed from the driest dust imaginable. A vacuum-packed souvenir awaits you at Port Roris on our return.
Right.
The surface temperature of the sea at this moment is around 300 below zero.
God, you wanted to get away from the heat, Myra.
Irving.
We are rather proud of Cellini. She's a unique craft even for the 21st century. Compact, extremely simple to operate, and her terminology will be familiar to most of you as it's taken from Earth maritime phraseology. We refer to her fore and aft, port, starboard, bridge, and portholes. She is propelled by electric motors that drive fans below the dust surface. But unlike conventional seacraft, there is no discomfort to be experienced by erratic motion. There are no waves, and seasickness is something we'll never experience. If during the trip you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. A 3-course meal incorporated in the price of your cruise ticket will be served in about an hour and a half from now. Enjoy your trip, everyone, and I'll now hand you over to Captain Harris.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Captain Pat Harris speaking to you from the bridge. If you would care to swivel your seats to the rear, you will observe the domes of Port Roris dropping swiftly from the skyline.
Oh, isn't that a sight?
You have all, no doubt, observed the stars from the clarity of space and been dazzled by the face of the mother planet, but this is a new experience for you. We are now traveling on neither land nor sea or space, but a little of each. No sea on Earth could ever be as calm as this. We'll stop for a moment and let you experience how still and placid the lunar surface can be.
Isn't it so quiet and peaceful?
Ghostly, still grayness.
This is the real face of the moon. That view hasn't changed for billions of years. It's an enormous thought, isn't it? Now, just how far do you imagine the horizon is?
That's miles.
Believe it or not, only 3 kilometers. It looks a couple of light years away, but if you could walk on this stuff, you'd be there in 20 minutes.
Imagine.
We'll move on, and I'll leave Sue to explain how the sea was formed.
Most of the moon is covered by a thin layer of dust, usually no more than a few millimeters in depth. Some of the debris fell from the stars when meteorites rained on the unprotected surface over at least 5 billion years. Some has flaked from lunar rocks as they expanded and contracted in the fierce climatic conditions. It's more liquid than sand or anything similar. It flows quicker than syrup and just slower than water. Over the ages, it has flowed down from the mountains into the lowlands to form pools and lakes. The first explorers expected this, but the Sea of Thirst was a surprise because of its size.
Terrific.
And ahead we now see the mountains of inaccessibility, so called because they are entirely surrounded by sea.
Have they ever been climbed?
No, they haven't. Aren't they a wonderful sight? I'll go through to the bridge and put the main lights out to give you a better view and leave you to take in the haunting beauty.
Yeah, that was ridiculous.
Look.
I've never seen anything like this. Fire light.
What are the passengers like?
They seem an ordinary bunch. There's one man I seem to recognize from somewhere, but I can't place him.
I'll point him out when I do my walkabout. Are you busy later? After the trip, I mean.
Well, I said I'd go and see the latest Earth video with a friend. Why do you ask?
I'm thinking of trying the new restaurant that's opened in Clavier City. I thought you might like to join me.
I went 3 or 4 days ago. It's very good.
Oh. Some other time then.
That'd be nice. I don't think you'll need to eat out tonight. There's plenty of seafood Mornay aboard.
Good.
Oh, there's a Miss Morley sat front port who asked who you were.
Yeah, I think I noticed her. Why do they always look like that?
Now then, Captain, diplomacy and charm. Remember your code of conduct. I'd better get back to them.
Out of this world.
What can I say?
Strange, isn't it? That man has to travel so far from the fields, lakes and forests to appreciate the real beauty of his own world.
Are you a poet?
No, ma'am. I just never dreamed it could look so beautiful. Bluey green crescent hanging in space.
Do you think David's looking up at the moon, Irving?
I hope he's looking after the office.
Forget the office. That's what we came here for. Rest, the doctor said.
You tell me. And who's worrying about the apartment?
Not now. I'm looking at a wonderful world.
Are you New Yorkers?
How'd you guess?
Oh, I worked in the Bronx for a while.
You're not American.
No. Australian, one of the originals. Long way from the Big Apple.
Nobody calls it that anymore.
We can almost see both our homes from here. I'm Irving Schuster. This is my wife, Myra.
Oh, I'm pleased to meet you. I'm Duncan Mackenzie.
It's our first trip to the moon.
Really?
Our first trip anywhere for years.
Wow.
The doctor, a personal friend, says, Irving, you have a fine son to take care of your business. Take a vacation. Next year, maybe, he says.
So, here we are.
Always next year.
So now it's next year. And you? First trip?
Oh, yeah. I've been promising myself this for a long time.
You're alone? You don't have a wife with you?
Myra.
Excuse me, sir. Please don't think me impertinent, but have we met before?
Oh, I'm sure I couldn't have forgotten such a charming lady.
Sorry, I rarely forget a face. Occupational hazard. You must remind me of someone else.
I just seem to have that sort of face.
I'll get the cans in my bag.
No,
Can you get...
Take a picture.
Are you sure you shouldn't be at the front, Captain?
We're quite safe on automatic pilot for another 7 minutes, Miss Morley. We're traveling a well-trodden route in a straight line.
But what's that?
Sorry?
Up ahead. Captain, we're heading straight into it.
Irving! Irving, there's a hole in the sea!
It'll be planned, Myra. We'll be programmed to go around it.
Pat, what is it?
Oh, God, I don't know. I'm bringing up the bridge.
My God!
Pat, we're sinking. What's happening?
Hang on, Sue. I'm trying to lift her. We're going down!
Look at the portholes. The dust is halfway up the glass.
Just try and keep calm.
Chief Engineer Lawrence, Mr. Davies.
Oh, Jim! Good of you to come. Take a seat.
I don't have long. What can I do for you, Rex?
You've time for some tourist office refreshment, I'm sure. Anne, would you please?
Yes.
Are you buttering me up for something, Rex?
Just being courteous to a fellow member of the Moon Management team.
Always the PR man. Come on, let's have it.
I had a stroll through the park earlier and happened to bump into the chief administrator. He's rather taken with the park, Jim, particularly impressed by the 15-metre sunflowers.
And the back-projected clouds, no doubt. It must be nice to have the time to admire them.
Oh, those clouds are lovely. You should dream a little.
I can look at clouds on Earth and listen to birds.
Well, perhaps you'd like something else. A thunderstorm, maybe?
No, thanks. So what did the chief have to say?
We discussed an idea for tourism.
Oh, you know my views on tourism. Just an additional headache we can live without.
Oh, no, we can't. It's our lifeblood here on the moon, Jim. The only way we can be independent of Earth. This idea would benefit both our departments.
Go on, Rex. I'm listening.
The water skiing champion of Australia has contacted me to ask if anyone has ever skied on the Sea of Thirst.
I thought you wanted me here for something serious.
I am serious. It could be a whole new sport. Is it technically possible That's all I want to know.
It's probably just a matter of being able to maintain speed and maneuverability. I just don't know. We'd have to do some experiments.
Could Cellini do it?
It's possible. All I can see from my department's point of view is headaches. I'm running on a shoestring as it is.
Exactly, Jim. The tourists bring the money in. Any extra revenue generated by a fresh influx would be used to benefit both our departments.
When I've got time, I'll see what I can do, all right?
That's all I'm asking.
Excuse me, sir. Red priority column 7.
Put it through, Anne. Chief Engineer Lawrence has the same clearance as me.
It's for Chief Engineer Lawrence.
Oh, fine. Put it through, Anne. Call for you on 7, Jim.
Thank you. Lawrence, yes? How long ago? No answer whatsoever. Try the moon crash band, Ed. You did. Right. See you in control in a couple of minutes.
Trouble?
That was Ed, my number 1. It's probably a false alarm, but I'd better get down to control. Cellini hasn't made her routine call.
Oh, what do you think could have happened?
I'm going to find out.
I'll come with you.
If anything has happened to her out there, we can only reach her with the dust skis. I've said all along we should have had 2 dust cruisers operational before we started these trips.
Couldn't agree more. That's the sort of equipment we could buy with any additional revenue.
Ed,
what's the problem?
The 1900-hour signal came in bang on time. That was here. Nothing at 2000. That's when they called me. I've had the instrument guys check it out our end, and it's all right. We tried to contact her on her regular frequency and drew a blank. We've scanned the adjoining bands, and again, nothing. That's when I called you.
And nothing on the moon crash band?
Not yet.
If she travelled from the 1900 signal until now, how far away from the last point of contact could she be?
Flat out, she'd only have travelled 80 kilometres, but she won't be travelling that fast on a sightseeing trip.
Right, if we draw a circle with her position at 1900 hours as its centre and an 80-kilometre radius, she's got to be in there somewhere. Then if we concentrate on this arc in the direction she's travelling, that'll cut down the odds for finding her.
Let's not provoke publicity over this. After all, it's probably just a simple breakdown.
Yes, but we'll dispatch the dust skis anyway. Even if it is a false alarm, it's good training.
How long before we know?
Well, it'll take a while to search several thousand square kilometres at night. Ed, get them started in this area. I'll prepare for us to travel to Port Roris in a suborbital, just in case we're needed.
Okay, Chief.
What could have happened?
I don't know. If it isn't a communications breakdown, there can only be a few possibilities. It was sudden. An explosion, maybe.
I'd better set up a meeting with the legal department. Do you think we should tell the Chief Administrator?
I'll leave that to you. Maybe he's wandering around your park somewhere.
Thanks, Jim. This won't do the tourist industry any good.
You should be worrying about the tourists that went out on Cellini.
Oh, yes, you're right. I'll contact Port Roris and make sure they all sign their indemnity forms. If it came to the worst, we could be sued for billions.
That isn't what I meant. Let's hope they've just hit something and put their communications out of action.
Excuse me, Chief. I've had an idea.
I'm listening, Ed.
Why don't we try Lagrange satellite? The astronomers up there might be able to see something.
At night? From 50,000 kilometres?
It's worth a try. Cellini's searchlights could still be burning, and they'd easily spot that on the sea. Contact them, Ed. I'll get our transport arranged to Port Roris.
Dr. Lawson?
Yes, what is it?
I'm very sorry to disturb you, Doctor, but we've received a priority red signal from Lunar Traffic Control, Earthside North.
Traffic control? I'm an astronomer, not a parking attendant. What do they want?
A dust cruiser, the Cellini, has gone missing on a sightseeing trip across the Sea of Thirst. 22 people on board. Traffic Control thought there may be a chance we'd spot her lights through the telescope.
I don't know. I'm supposed to be carrying out serious scientific research. Not looking for a busload of lost pleasure seekers.
Yes, Doctor.
100-centimetre telescope. Beautiful instrument. Designed to look at objects billions of times further away from us than the moon. Here we are, like a ping-pong ball, perpetually balanced between Earth and the moon. Where do you say that thing was supposed to be?
The Sea of Thirst, Doctor. I've brought a map.
Map? Map? Don't need a map. Let's look at that view on the screen. That's the Sea of Rains. Those craters are Archimedes, Plato, Aristotle's, and Eudoxus. Marvellous. Even on low power.
Yes. Shouldn't we be scanning the dark section, Dr. Lawson?
Of course we should. That's where we're going. It's a big place, the Sea of Thirst. You have any coordinates?
Yes, Doctor.
Well, punch 'em in. You're expected now to work this thing.
Yes, Doctor. There. It's very dark.
Well, of course it's dark. It's night time. Scan slowly.
What was that?
What? Where?
A bright light. It could have been a searchlight.
Well, trace it back. Very slowly.
There.
Much too bright. Those are the lights of Port Roris. Now, if she's on the Sea of Thirst, we should locate her with a light amplifier or a radiation detector.
It's so dark. I can't see.
Quiet, quiet, everyone, please. I think we've stopped moving now. Is anyone injured? No. Just make sure that everyone within touching distance of you is conscious. I'm going to reset the main lights and the purification system.
Irving, you all right?
I'm okay. Are you?
Yeah. Mr. Mackenzie?
Oh, fine. Look at the portholes.
Oh, we're buried.
See.
Oh, God, we're buried.
Miss Morley, are you all right?
We are buried, aren't we?
Yes, we are under the surface, but we can't be very deep.
At least we now have light. How is everybody, Sue?
At the worst shaken, I think.
Well, if the food's still servable, this might not be a bad time to serve it.
I'll see what I can do.
Good. Could I have your attention, please?
Sure.
We are still in one piece, and no one is worse than a little shocked, as far as I can see.
Right.
If anyone does need first aid, Sue is a trained nurse, so speak up.
Right.
I think we've been unfortunate to have been caught in some sort of landslip or moonquake. There's no need to be alarmed. Even if we can't get out under our own power, Port Roris will soon have someone here. Meanwhile, Sue is about to serve refreshments, so I suggest you all relax, and I'll contact base. Selene to Port Roris. Selene to Port Roris. Come in, please.
Food's underway. Are you through?
Not yet.
What's happened? Any ideas?
I'm not sure. Some sort of landslip. Selene to Port Roris. Come in, please.
Perhaps the radio's damaged.
Possibly. I'm getting an outside pressure reading, which indicates we're deeper than I at first thought.
Well, how deep?
Well, at a rough estimate, I'd say about 10 meters.
As much as that. Is everything else all right?
All equipment appears to be functional.
Oh, I'm sorry, sir. No passengers allowed in here.
No, that's all right, Sue.
No, I don't want to intrude, Captain. Selina is your ship. I thought I'd introduce myself in case I can be of some assistance.
Glad to have you aboard, Commodore.
Commodore?
Commodore Hanstein.
The man who led the first expedition to Pluto.
I thought I recognized you, but your name didn't ring a bell from the passenger list.
I've shaved off my beard. My alias is Hansen. Since my retirement, I've tried to do some quiet sightseeing.
Sorry about this, Commodore.
No, it's not your fault. How desperate is the situation?
I'll carry on with the meeting.
Yeah, fine, Sue. We're deeper than I first thought. My guess is about 10 meters.
Doesn't sound too good.
We aren't too far from Port Roris. They should find us fairly quickly.
My experience tells me to look on the black side. How long could we last if we had to?
Oxygen would be the limiting factor. We've enough for about 7 days, Earth days, that is, provided there are no leaks and she seems sound enough.
What about food, water and power?
No problem. We carry the compulsory emergency supply rations. We can purify all the water we need, and there's ample power now that the main motors are shut down.
Any luck with the radio?
I think the dust's blanketed everything out. I've left the beacon on moon crash. If anything can get through, it'll be that.
If they had to find us any other way, any estimate how long it would take?
Well, the search would have begun as soon as our 2000 signal was missed. They'll know our general area, but we'll have sunk without trace.
In the meantime, you've got to keep the customers happy. Why not give them a pep talk about the search procedure?
Yeah, I'll do that, Commodore. Thank you.
Best not to give the impression somebody will be knocking on the door in half an hour, though. It would make it difficult if we had to wait a day or two.
Can't see a thing. Can you?
I felt sure we'd find something after the photographs had gone through computer enhancement, but it's just as if the sea hasn't been touched for hundreds of years.
Billions of years. In the earthlight, it'll be possible to see her shadow clearly. If not, then we can assume she came to grief in this area. Put these through the enhancer, Ingrid.
Right. Crater Lake? In the middle of the mountains?
Well, it's far more logical to assume she'd have an accident where always boulders are strewn about the place than in the open sea where she'd be unobstructed.
It's still very black, Doctor.
No light at all. Scores of isolated crags and boulders. You see, all this area is blocked from us by the mountains. The only chance there is to investigate at ground level. Inform Earthside Control and give them our interim report.
Are we giving up, Dr. Lawson?
Lord, no. Just getting interesting.
Commissioner Davis.
Yes, Anne?
The copy of the report from the Lagrange satellites through on Telfax.
Any news?
No, they haven't seen anything at all.
This has happened at a very bad time. Is that the passenger list?
Yes, sir. There's an appendix.
Hell, that's all I need. Commodore Hanstein's on board, travelling under an assumed name.
The Commodore Hanstein?
Imagine what that's going to do to our public image. Lawrence should have arrived at Port Roris by now. Make sure he's got all this information.
Yes, sir.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the position. We're only about 60 kilometers from base, 3 from the mountains of inaccessibility, and we are in no immediate danger.
But how long, Captain?
As I said earlier, I've no reason to believe we won't be located quite soon.
Shouldn't someone be on the bridge by the radio?
Now, I've boosted reception. We'll hear any incoming signal throughout the ship, and they can hear us from in here.
What do we do in the meantime?
Well, we are very fortunate to have Commodore Hanstein aboard. As you probably know, he's the most traveled Earthman in history.
And I don't intend staying still for long here.
Perhaps, Commodore, you can suggest ways we can pass the time.
All right, Captain. Do we have any books on board?
Do we?
Here's one. Would you mind passing it up, please? And another. Oh, fine. We seem to have an overkill of the official tourist handout. Now, what's this one about?
Oh, I'm afraid it's only a little drawn through history.
The Orange and the Apple.
It's absolute rubbish.
We're not looking for heavy literature. The Orange and the Apple. The truth of the romance between Nell Gwynn and Sir Isaac Newton. It sounds juicy.
It was written by a promiscuous schoolgirl on Mars.
Thank you, Miss Morley. I know this one. Shane. Good old-fashioned Western. Well, that's a start. Later on, we could have some volunteer readers, Captain.
Good idea. Well, that's our entertainment taken care of. Are there any more questions?
I noticed there was a spacesuit in the airlock. Well, couldn't someone swim up to the surface? Then the search party would know where we were immediately.
Sorry, Miss Morley, but it would be like swimming in sand. You'd be absolutely blind. How would the person know which was up or down? How could he close the outer door after him? The dust would just flood in.
If there are no more questions, why don't we all introduce ourselves? I'll go round the ship and perhaps you'll give your name, occupation and hometown. You have a remarkable collection of talent on board, if I may say so, Captain. Any sign of our rescuers?
No, Commodore, not as yet.
Do you mind if I have a word, Captain?
No, Mr.
Mackenzie.
Yes, our Australian physicist, correct?
Correct, Commodore. I'm a little worried.
Go ahead.
What's it all about?
If my reasoning is correct, a 7 days limitation on our oxygen supply won't be our greatest danger.
Then what is?
Heat. We're blanketed by dust, and it's about the best insulator there is. The heat from our bodies and the machinery can't escape. That means it'll get hotter and hotter until we cook.
I never gave that a thought. How long do you think it'll take?
Well, not much more than a day. It'll take me about half an hour to come up with a more accurate estimate. The cabin temperature readout will give us a fair indication.
Yeah, he's right. It's gone up 2 degrees already.
Yeah, a degree an hour. I was afraid it might be as bad as that.
We'll have to increase the cooling part.
Won't that make matters worse?
Yeah, I'm afraid so. All our refrigeration system does is pump heat out of the cabin. Now there isn't anywhere for it to go.
Well, check your figures, Mackenzie, and let us know how long we've got as soon as possible.
Right.
And we'd better keep this between the three of us for the time being.
Hello, Chief. Hi, Ed. Welcome to Port Roris.
Anything new on Cellini, George?
Oh, nothing good, Chief. We have a report from Lagrange Satellite and another from Plato Observatory, and get this. Commodore Hanstein's on board.
Aboard Cellini?
Yep.
Does Tourist Commissioner Davis know?
Oh, he's taking it very personally, Chief.
I'll bet. Anything from the Duskies?
Afraid not. I'll have to pull them in soon to change crews.
Okay, but make it snappy. What does Lagrange say?
Even with computer enhancement, they can't see anything out there. I suppose all her lights could be out.
No lights, no radio. That would mean a breakdown of at least 10 circuits. What does Plato Observatory have to say?
Oh, it gets worse, Chief. At 1936 hours, they recorded a massive land slippage in the area of the Mountains of Inaccessibility. A violent moonquake.
Hell. So that's what's happened. A lot of activity?
Like nothing they ever recorded before.
Are there likely to be further tremors?
Well, they say very unlikely. Once the stress has been relieved, it isn't likely to happen again for a couple of thousand years.
The time's about right for Cellini to have been slap bang in the middle of it.
If they are buried under those rocks, they'll have had it by now. Cellini's hull would have cracked like an eggshell. Okay. Get the Duskies back, George. I'm calling off the search in the Sea of Thirst. Get them fixed up with metal detectors and gas sniffers and head for the mountains when they've changed crews. It's time to pick up the pieces.
Right, Chief.
Ed, inform Dr. Lawson on Lagrange of the news. Thank him for his help and all that.
I will do.
That's it, then. I'd better speak to the administrator. And to Rex Davis, I suppose.
Doctor, there's a message from Chief Engineer Lawrence, thanking you for your efforts and saying the search has been called off. There's been a report of a moonquake causing an avalanche on the Mountains of Inaccessibility, and it seems that Cellini is crushed under the rocks.
Blast. I was almost ready.
What's that, Doctor?
It's an old-fashioned infrared scanner linked up to the telescope. Quite enjoyed the challenge. All a waste of time now. Those poor people.
Isn't it still worth a try, Doctor? She might have survived the avalanche. Would it work in the mountainous area?
No, of course not. There's been an avalanche and landslides. All the temperatures will be uneven. Complete waste of time.
Sorry, sir. I don't know anything about them.
Come here. Very basic. Though Cellini left no visible trace across the sea, she will definitely have left an infrared one. You understand?
Not really.
Oh, she'd have stirred up relatively warm dust from a few feet down and scattered it across a far colder surface. An eye that could detect heat could pick up her track for hours after she passed. There would have just been time for us to make a survey before the sun rose and obliterated all trace of the heat trail.
Couldn't we still try it?
No reason to now.
I'm still not sure how it works.
Good gracious, Ingrid, look, it's fundamental. Now, all you have to do...
Captain, Commodore, can I have a word with you?
Yeah, of course, Mac. How bad is it?
It's bad. If conditions remain the same, we could have our first death from a heat stroke within 20 hours.
As soon as that?
Doesn't give 'em much time to find us and get us out, does it?
No.
If we slept, that would lower the body temperatures.
It'd help. It would make sense to sleep now before conditions become unbearable.
And we could turn the main lights off.
Right. We must give ourselves every possible chance. May I speak with them? With your permission, Pat.
Yeah, sure, Commodore.
Ladies and gentlemen. Yes. We've all had a busy day, and I think most of us would be glad to get some sleep.
In these conditions?
I agree, Mrs. Schuster. You've probably all noticed that it's becoming a little warm in here, and my advice is to remove all unnecessary clothing.
What do you mean by that?
Now, comfort is much more important than modesty. We'll turn the main lights off and leave the emergency ones on. Somebody will remain awake all the time in the bridge, waiting for our rescuers.
If anyone would like a drink or anything else, please don't hesitate to ask.
Come on, Myra. Take off your dress. Be comfortable. Nobody's looking. Everybody's concerned with themselves.
That stewardess, Sue. If God had given me a figure like hers, I would undress. Myra Schuster stays covered up.
Okay, Myra.
I'd like to take the first watch, Captain. I can do some more calculations.
Yeah, I'll be over there if you need me, though I doubt if I'll sleep.
Controller.
How did the meeting go, Chief?
They're preparing a press release and messages to the next of kin. The administrator's going to come in for a lot of flack.
And Tourist Commissioner Davies?
Smooth as ever. He's writing the press release. Wouldn't surprise me if he didn't try to make out it was a mass suicide to save his precious tourist industry. Oh, what's the situation with the dust skis, Ed?
Oh, they've left for the mountains with the detection gear. And we're set up for a quick turnaround of crews.
Fine. Well, let's hope we can give him a decent burial. I'm going for a drink.
Pat, I'm sorry to wake you, but I can hear something.
No, I wasn't asleep. What is it?
Look, just put your ear to the hull. Can you hear it?
It's the dust moving.
Thank God. They must have found
No,
us.
I'm not sure. How's the temperature?
It isn't going up as fast as I predicted.
Because of the lights and sleeping?
It shouldn't have made that much difference. I don't understand.
The noise. I think I do.
Should we wake the others?
No. This dust is so fine it'll flow like water in the right conditions. I think the heat is slowly dissipating into it and causing a convection current.
I thought they'd found us.
It's a bit of good news anyway, if Cellini isn't heating up as quickly as we thought. The dust skis will be out searching. They could even be near us right now.
Drowning your sorrows, Chief.
Oh. On this stuff? You know, we've beaten most of the killer diseases, and we can still lose 22 people out on a joyride.
I know how you feel, Chief. The first ski is back. They're turning it round at the moment.
Fine, Ed.
Oh, and Dr. Lawson from Lagrange Satellite wants to speak to you.
Didn't you tell him about the mountains?
Yeah, I told him earlier, but the message is he wants to speak to you.
Oh, well, I better call him. Ed, use the extension.
Yeah, right.
Hello? Hello?
Dr. Lawson?
Speaking.
Hello, Doctor. Chief Engineer Lawrence.
Good. Cellini, dear fellow, the missing tourist bus.
Mm.
I believe I know where she is.
Yeah, in the mountains.
No, she never got that far. Anyway, it won't work there. The temperatures are too uneven. No, it was while I was explaining the infrared technique to Ingrid. It's very simple, but she wanted a practical demonstration, and that's when we spotted the trail.
Doctor, where have you found Cellini?
Ingrid has just sent the photographs over telefax to you.
I'll go and get them.
Look, yeah, could you start at the beginning, please?
Certainly. You see, after I was unable to locate any sign of your missing craft by conventional use of the telescope, I rigged up an infrared scanning device. Then the word came from you that you were calling off the search because Cellini was probably buried under the mountains. I was a little annoyed about that. But as I was explaining the method of heat detection to my assistant Ingrid, we picked up Cellini's trail. It's quite elementary.
Here you are, Chief.
Oh, yeah, thanks. Yeah, I have the photographs in front of me now. Yes. I see what you mean. Yes, I can see the trail, but I can't see the cruiser.
That's a puzzle, isn't it? It seems as if she's just flown away.
Doctor, she can't fly.
I know that, of course. So if she can't go up, she must have gone down.
Hey, could be right, Chief.
What are you saying, Doctor?
Well, it's obvious to me she can't fly. There's no trace of her leaving that spot, so she must be under it.
What about an explosion? She could have just disintegrated.
Well, there'd be hot fragments all over the place. My infrared scanner would be going wild.
Hell, Doctor, I hope you're right. Excuse me, one moment. Ed, contact Davis and tell him to hold any press releases. Tell him there's a slight chance she's under the sea. I want both dust skis holding here at base. Then, contact Plato Observatory and see if there could be a connection between the landslide in the mountains and that point on the Sea of Thirst.
Sure, Chief.
Dr. Lawson, how accurate is your infrared scanner?
Totally. Depending on the range, of course.
To what accuracy could you pinpoint the last location of Cellini?
Well, not very well on this floating ping-pong ball. Well, say to roughly within half a kilometre.
I see. That's still a wide area for such a small craft, but it's a very good start. I'll get the search party back out there straight away.
There is another way.
I'm listening, Doctor.
You could do an infrared scan on the surface of the sea with a great deal of accuracy, provided we did it before the next sunrise and the heat of the sun's rays obliterated all signs.
Doctor, that's it. Brilliant.
Quite. I could be ready to leave in, say 7 minutes, if you'd like me to come down. Feel like stretching my legs.
I'll see what traffic's like in your area. Have you picked up. See you soon.
Goodbye.
I've got both Duskies back here waiting, Chief. What's going on?
There may still be a chance. Cellini could be buried somewhere here, under the Sea of Thirst.
Whew. Well, if her systems are still functional, they could still be alive.
That's right. Ed, find a suitable craft in the region of LaGrange to bring Doc Lawson and his machine down.
Right, Chief.
Shall I get the skis to this location?
Send one out with a surveyor's rod. There's no harm in trying. Tell them that I'm coming out myself as soon as Dr. Lawson arrives.
I'd like to drive, if that's okay. Mm-hmm. Pat and Sue are friends of mine.
Oh, sure, George. Contact Farside and ask for a loan of one of their skis. Have another crew wait for it here at a moment's standby.
Right. Chief, there's a ship, the Auriga, 10 hours out from Earth, bound for Clavius City. There's time to divert it to LaGrange.
That's fine, Ed. I'll do it. I have a feeling there'll have to be a few strings pulled. Keep Davis in touch with what's happening, but keep it low-key. We've an awful long way to go yet.
Will you quieten that bluegrass down, Lester? I have a job to hear if there are any more messages.
Just keeping my roots, man. Where is it we're going to?
LaGrange Satellite, then diverting to Port Royce.
Oh, Skipper. I had a little lady lined up in Clavius City.
I had to cancel my own arrangements too, Lester. This diversion has come from the owners via the government.
That important? Why are we going to LaGrange?
Picking a guy up. He's got to be at Port Royce as soon as possible. Better tell the passengers.
Bet it's something to do with that tourist bus gone missing.
We aren't supposed to listen to that security band.
It'll be a boring trip without it. That and my banjo.
Go tell the passengers.
Okay.
Auriga to LaGrange, ETA 5 minutes.
What's it all about then, Lester?
Mr. Spencer, all I know is diversion to LaGrange observation satellite, then on to Port Royce, a one-horse town. Don't know how long we'll be there. Had a hot one lined up in Clavius City. Even booked a restaurant.
Oh, you must have some idea. You can tell me, Lester.
Couldn't tell you, Mr. Spencer. I know you're a newsman. Even if I did know something, Skip would go mad.
I have a 12-month contract on the moon. I'll be making lots of important contacts. Anybody who does me a favor could be helping themselves to the future.
Well, don't tell anybody I say it.
I never reveal my sources.
I reckon it's something to do with the missing dust cruiser.
What missing dust cruiser?
Skipper and me were listening to a security band. Shouldn't have been, though. Tourist cruiser Cellini's missing. 22 on board. Messed up my stay in port.
Lester, will you get on back here? We're about to dock.
Now, don't say I said. We're picking a scientist up.
Hey, Lester, you make sure he takes this vacant seat, huh?
See what I can do, Mrs. Spencer.
That seat okay for you, Dr. Lawson?
Yes, thank you. Very comfortable. Are you sure my luggage is safe?
Oh, it'll be quite all right. What the hell is it anyway?
Scientific equipment. Very sensitive. Be careful.
Sure will.
Bit of a late change of plan, Mr.
Lawson. Dr. Lawson.
My name's Spencer. Are you visiting Port Royce or a patient?
No, I'm not a medical man. Astronomer, actually. Spot of bother in the Sea of Thirst. Fascinating.
Oh, I don't know that area too well.
Oh, I have some photographs. Now, see that line?
Yes.
Ah, you're a newsman.
Does it show that much?
Badge protruding from inside pocket. I'm a trained observer, you see. Excuse me. Oh, just catch a few minutes sleep. Knew it was going to be a busy day.
I refuse to listen to any more of the orange and the apple. It's nothing less than pornography. And with most people down to their underwear.
She's right, Myra. Most people are. It's roasting in here. You're gonna have to take your dress off. This is no time for modesty. It's time for goddamn comfort.
Irving.
Look, I'm sorry, Myra, but be sensible. Miss Morley, I can understand. You, I can't.
All right. Maybe we've had a little bit too much reading. But we can't sleep all the time. Does anybody have any ideas for recreation?
Let us have an examination of the motives of people for traveling to the moon.
That's a good idea, Professor...
Jayawardena.
I came here because somebody told me I'd only weigh 20 kilos up here. That's why I came.
Oh, do you feel comfortable in a spacesuit, Doctor?
Never worn one in my life.
As long as you don't suffer from claustrophobia.
If you could see the size of my laboratory aboard LaGrange, you wouldn't ask that question. Oh, it's nice to be somewhere there's a bit of gravity. This oxygen flask looks a bit small.
Oh, that's just your emergency supply. The main supply is on the dust ski. Now, let's get our helmets on.
Right, Chief.
How's that? Seems fine. Now, the only control you need worry about is the intercom. That's the panel on your right. It's switched on now, so we can talk quite freely. Any questions? What's this red button for? Emergencies. You won't need it, I hope. It sets off a homing radio beacon if you get lost. Don't touch anything you aren't certain of, Doctor. Don't worry, I won't. Okay, George. Ready to roll. Right, Chief. All my life I've studied other worlds from afar. This is my first taste at first hand, so to speak. How long will it take us to get to the spot? How long, George? About an hour. It's uncannily exhilarating. Silence. No feeling of motion, yet we're moving quite rapidly. Mm-hmm. Just how much time do we, or rather, do those unfortunate people down there have? Oh, provided the quake hasn't caused any leaks or systems damage, they're okay for about, 6 days. How far down are they likely to be? Anybody's guess. Sea's never been plumbed out here, but the deepest dust bowl we've found so far was 41 meters. Does the depth matter to the scanner? Does it? Obviously, she's giving heat out, and the nearer the surface she is, the more detectable it'll be. Mm-hmm. But now I'm down here, there should be enough heat to give a reading. Not like being stuck up in LaGrange. Once she's been located, just how do you intend getting them out? Good question, Doctor.
How do you manage to get the only genuine bottle of hooch in Port Royce, Mr. Spencer?
The power of the press, Skipper. I had a bigger job getting these lunar survey maps.
All right. So, that's the Sea of Thirst, and that there'll be the mountains of inaccessibility where Seleni's lost.
Where she may be lost.
Huh?
Just between you and me, I believe the old man we picked up from LaGrange satellite has evidence that she's down in that sea. I stuck close to Lawson. I know he was whizzed through customs and immigration, but the man who met him was Chief Engineer Lawrence, the man in charge of the rescue. He was overheard saying there was a dust ski ready to take them out to the spot.
Sure don't take you long to find your way around, huh?
I'm a pro. I believe that spot there is where Selene is buried. If there are people still alive down there, there's going to be one hell of a salvage operation not too far from here. Port Royce will be the biggest news center in the solar system.
Oh, where do I come in?
Right there, Captain. I want to charter your ship to land me and my video equipment on that promontory, on the western wall of the Mountains of Inaccessibility.
You realize how much that'd cost?
My station will pay. I've spoken to them, and about a bonus for you and Lester. This could be one of the biggest news stories of the century. What do you say? Can it be done?
Well, that's one good thing. There's enough food here for 6 days if we start rationing.
Rationing? It seems a long time since you asked me to go to that new restaurant.
Your friend must have been disappointed.
You never asked me who it was, did you?
I thought if you didn't want to eat with me, that's your business.
You shouldn't accept things at face value.
What do you mean, if I'd asked about the friend you were seeing the video with them? I mean...
I know. But let's wait until we're out of here, okay?
Everything all right, Doctor?
No. It doesn't look too good, I'm afraid. Could we stop a moment?
Sure. George?
I heard, Chief.
What's the problem, Doctor?
confused. There are dozens of hot spots. I was expecting to find just the one where the dust has been disturbed.
I see. Why was it uniform on the photographs?
Well, I was just confused at the moment.
Cellini shed a fan blade around here a week ago. It isn't very deep in part.
Of course, I should have thought of that. When we reach the depth deep enough to swallow Cellini, the temperature will be more uniform.
Good. Let's get a move on.
It's going to be a matter of minutes now, Chief.
Right.
How will you be able to differentiate between hidden rock and Cellini, presuming you hit something with your probe?
Doctor, I just don't know.
This could be it. Stop.
Okay.
Just look at the screen.
I'll get the other dust ski over here. Let's get the probes rigged, George, and start praying.
Now let's all settle down.
They're doing their best.
Settle down. The heat is getting to us. We've got to be patient.
What's the trouble, Commodore?
There's a feeling we're not doing all we can to get out. I've explained that we've no alternative but to wait for rescue.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're at least 10 meters down. Even if we could get the airlock open, no one could overcome the dust's resistance and get to the surface.
But what about the main motors, Captain? We could try them.
I doubt us moving a centimeter, and we go forward, not up.
Well, we could all stand at the back.
That would probably just damage the hull.
But if there's one chance that it might work, isn't it worth the risk?
Yeah. We're boiling down here.
All right, that's enough from everybody. The danger in trying to escape unaided is too great. We're safe here for at least 6 more days.
6 days.
Might not be too comfortable. In fact, it'll get hotter. But we've got to stay calm and cooperative.
Calm and cooperative. Listen to that. Shut up! Shut up, everybody!
Myra!
Be quiet! Listen!
Hey!
They found us! They found us!
Fantastic.
I'll look back.
I'll go and try the radio.
I've hit something, but I can't tell what it is.
It's Cellini, all right. Just look at the trace on the screen. She's giving off an awful lot of heat. The surface of the dust is moving.
Let's all just stand still.
I don't think there's any cause for alarm. I think it's probably just a convection current.
Okay, George. Follow the image of the scanner with Dr. Lawson and stake her out.
Okay.
Must be her. I've hit her again. She's deep, about 15 meters.
Pity the old-fashioned echo sounders couldn't be used.
Yes, you may have something there, Doctor. Well, the next time I hit her, I'll leave the probe in. If it is Cellini, she's blanketed by dust. That's why the radio didn't work. Yeah, I've hit again. I'll try the moon crash band.
That's her. The probe's acting as the aerial.
Yeah, it doesn't mean they're alive, though, George. That signal's on automatic. Probably lasts about 3 weeks. I'll try our own frequency.
Cellini calling.
Loud and clear. This is Chief Engineer Lawrence, right above you. What condition are you in?
As you can probably hear, you're a popular man at the moment, Chief. I'm Captain Pat Harris. We have no injuries. The hull is intact, and we have oxygen and food supplies for about 6 more days. Our only cause for immediate concern is temperature. It's very hot down here.
It was through heat detection we found you, Pat, and we should be making you a bit more comfortable before very long. We'll have you out as quickly as possible. I'll report back to base with the good news. I'll contact you soon and keep you all in touch with progress. Out.
That's the word, Chief. Out.
Lawrence to Port Rora's control. Come in, please. Hello, Chief. It's Ed. Good news, Ed. We've found them. Radio contact established and everyone's okay, but suffering from the heat. They have enough oxygen and supplies for 6 days. The problem is going to be getting to them through the dust. She's about 15 meters deep and 3 kilometers from the nearest solid land, and we don't know how deep the dust is below her. I'm going to leave George here, and the doctor and I will come back to base to organize rescue equipment. We can only use the skis out here. Now, how much equipment can any one ski carry?
In total, about 5 tons, but because of balance, the largest single item they can carry is about 2 tons.
So, we can't use any really heavy gear.
Right.
Okay. I'll do some thinking on the way back. Have that ski from Farside standing by.
Will do, Chief. Good work.
Yeah, up to now it's been easy. But let's not kid ourselves. The hard part has just begun.
Are we down, Skipper?
Yes, sirree. We've landed.
It was a bit hairy, I must admit.
Yeah, nothing in the master's handbook about a spaceship traveling 100 kilometers. Even the computer wouldn't be bothered with an efficient trajectory readout. I just let her rip upwards for 1,000 kilometers and brought her down on a normal vertical approach with final auto guidance. Kind of neat, eh, Mrs. Spencer?
I didn't much care for free falling between the retros firing. I kept wondering what would have happened if they hadn't fired again.
Right into the moon.
Mighty cheerful, Lester. Here we are then, Mr. Spencer. Hope you're satisfied with the view. It's costing you enough. Oh, I hope you realize that the 1,000-kilometer jaunt just qualified us for deep space rates.
Have you no soul? There are 22 people buried out there.
Flying this rig is our living, amigo. I know how it is. All sweet talk and promises at the moment to get your story. Then, when it's all old news and the accountants get involved in the cold light of day, that's another story.
Yeah, point taken. Like a scene from a dream, isn't it? The sea stretching out into space. I can see what must be a dust ski. And even the pole joining Selene to the rest of humanity.
Where's that?
Here, you'll need the binoculars. I'll get the camera set up. This is fantastic. By the time anybody else gets anywhere near here, we'll have all the Earth networks tied up. What a picture. The plane, the probe stuck up into the freezing stillness. The loneliness of man personified in this huge and hostile universe he is set out to conquer.
Fancy some chow, Skipper.
Smart idea, Lester. We could be here for some time.
Isn't that a great sound? Listen. Fantastic.
Hello, Selene. Rex Davies here. I just thought I'd leave you a moment with the sounds of Clavier City Park, but await your return. On behalf of the Chief Administrator, I want to assure you that all the resources available on the moon are being mobilized for your aid. Engineering and technical staff are working around the clock to help you. Chief Engineer Lawrence tells me the provisional plan is to sink pipes down to you to ensure a limitless oxygen supply. Sorry for the inconvenience and strain you've had to undergo. That's all over now. Just relax. Sit and wait, and we'll have you out in no time. Good luck. Best wishes, and we'll be in touch again soon.
I wish the Commissioner wouldn't be quite so optimistic, Commodore.
I'm sure he was just thinking about her morale.
Well, it's been fine since the link was established.
Well, I'll be glad to get out of this. I'm getting too old for these sort of adventures.
You've coped admirably, Commodore. I'm glad you were with us.
Nice of you to say so, Captain. It's good to feel useful in retirement. I'm sorry to be so miserable just when everything has taken a turn for the better. Rather a bad headache, that's all.
Yeah, I have a muzzy feeling myself. Must be to do with being cooped up for so long.
What about these drums, Ed? Will they do?
Tests show they'll support 2 tons before sinking.
Fine. Get at least twice as many as we'll need. An important point, everybody. We must have all tools and spares tied down. All tools to be attached to your belts. That's an order. Can't be wandering back to the stores once we're out at sea.
We have problems with breaking through the roof, Chief.
What's the trouble?
Well, we've tried using a bar on the mock-up, but the roof's too springy and it bounces back every time it's hit.
But will it happen when we're using a 15-meter pipe with dust packed round it? Do a test, see if it absorbs the recoil.
Yeah, there's another problem. Most of the control circuitry is in the roof, and it's too tough to put a clean hole through it. If it splinters, it could put one of her main systems out.
Well, we'll have to bore. Use a detachable bit. How's the rest of the plumbing coming along?
Oh, it should be ready in 2 or 3 hours, Chief.
Good. I'll be back in 2. Oh, blast. Lawrence.
Ah, Mr. Lawrence, it's Dr. Lawson here.
Oh, hello, Doctor. Did you sleep well?
To my shame, yes, and a very long time.
You had quite a day. Is there anything you need?
No, thank you. I'm being looked after extraordinarily well. I'd just like some advice from you.
Certainly, anything at all.
I appear during my hours of slumber to have become something of a celebrity in my own way, and I'm being inundated with questions from the media. What shall I do?
Just tell them everything that happened. Enjoy yourself, Doctor.
Well, it does seem rather decadent here in this luxurious hotel room. Tourist Commissioner Davis said I could have anything I fancied. Rather a rash statement, I thought, when I'd like unlimited use of all the Grange's facilities to study the planet Gagarin 1.
I'll consider it a personal favor if you keep the newsboys off my back.
If you put it like that, I shall do my best.
I'm sure you will, Doctor. See you later.
I'm sorry to make a fuss, Sue, but if you got something for my headache...
Excuse me, I am also suffering.
We do have some mild painkillers. I'll get them.
Mr. Mackenzie, could you come through to the bridge? The captain would like to see us.
Yes, of course.
Oh, if they're for a headache, I'd like some too.
Mac, I'm afraid we've got another serious problem on our hands.
Another one?
I'm afraid so. It appears we're experiencing a build-up of carbon dioxide.
But I thought you were safe for another few days.
Yeah, under normal circumstances, but unfortunately I think the heat's affected the CO2 conversion system.
How long do you think we got?
Impossible to say accurately, but I'd say a matter of hours.
That doesn't give Lawrence time to get here with his team.
There could be a bit of panic.
Oh, I'm not too delighted myself.
Any ideas?
Oh, there's always the sleep treatment.
It would have the respiration rate.
Well, that's all we can do then.
I'll have a word with him while you radio through, Pat.
Right. I'll come with you.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm afraid I have some grave news. You may have noticed some difficulty in breathing.
Now we have.
And several people have complained of headaches. I'm afraid it's the air. We still have plenty of oxygen, but the carbon dioxide we breathe out isn't escaping. The chemical conversion unit has been affected by the heat. As we see it, there's just one chance. We must render ourselves unconscious.
How can we do that?
Asleep, our respiration rate is halved, and the air will last twice as long.
Well, how do you propose we do that, Commodore?
Sue, I take it the first aid kit is the standard issue.
Yes, Commodore.
Could you pass it, please? Now, this, for those of you who might not know, is a standard sleep tube. Now, each tube is sufficient to render an adult instantaneously asleep and keep them asleep for approximately 10 hours.
I'm having none of it.
Now, please, let me finish. We don't have any other choice. 2 people will remain awake. 1 will be the captain.
And I suppose the other one will be you.
No. I'm taking the easy way out. Just to show you how harmless it is, I'll go first. Now, you just unscrew the top, put the end against your forearm, and press here. I'll see you all in 10 hours.
Sleep well, Commodore.
There's no need to worry about that. This stuff just...
Does the rescue base know our position? All that remains is to take a sleep tube. Ah, I see the Commodore has set us a good example.
I'm a paying passenger and I have my rights. I have no intention of taking one of those.
Miss Morley, I am not arguing with you. I am in total charge of this vessel and its occupants. I am tired, I am hot, and my head is banging. I'd much rather sleep, but it's my duty to stay awake.
Morley, we must help the captain. We must preserve the good air. Please pass me one, miss.
Thank you, Professor. Let's not waste any more time. These are microjet hypodermics. You won't feel a thing.
Here you are. Please,
thank you.
Pass them
Please,
around.
this way, this way.
I refuse to do it.
What really worries the lady, Captain, is she thinks you'll take advantage of her while she's asleep.
How dare you? I've never been so insulted.
Neither have I.
Oh, give me the damn thing. Don't come any closer. There.
Sleep tight, Miss Morley.
Everything will be all right. I know it will. Are you comfortable, Mr. Schuster?
Oh, yes, thank you, sir. Look, Mara's already asleep. See you later.
Cellini to Chief Engineer Lawrence, Port Roris Control. Come in, please.
Hello, Pat. Lawrence here. How did it go?
More or less as planned. Myself and Duncan Mackenzie are the only two left awake.
I'll give it to you straight, Pat. Even if we don't hit any snags, we can't reach you in under 5 hours. Can you hang on?
We'll have to. Mac's getting the oxygen supply from the spacesuit. It's the passengers I'm worried about.
All you can do is check their breathing and give them a blast of oxygen when it's necessary. We'll do our best. You can rely on that. Any more you want to say?
No, I'll call you every quarter of an hour. Cellini out.
I've got the oxygen.
You go first. All right. We'll take it in turns to keep a check on the passengers.
I never thought breathing could be so enjoyable. Here you are, Pat. How long will this last?
About 12 hours between us. Don't know how much the others will need.
What have you found to smile at?
Sorry, I was just thinking I wouldn't have much chance if you decided to keep the bottle for yourself.
I thought all you moon-born men were sensitive about that.
Oh, no, it's never bothered me. Couldn't help being born in a gravity 1/6 of yours. How could you tell?
How you're built, mainly. You all have the same tall, slender physique. And your skin. The lamps never seem to give the same tan as natural sunlight on Earth.
I've never been to Earth and never will. Couldn't take the gravity. Looked at Australia plenty of times through my telescope. I have a sentiment for it. My parents took off from Woomera.
Oh, Woomer's an Aboriginal word meaning a booster stage for spears.
Wow. Well, live and learn. I'd better go check the others.
You might not get your story after all, Mr. Spencer, if that oxygen cylinder runs out.
You sound a heartless man, Skipper.
Just one of life's realists. That right, Lester? I hope they get the poor devils out. Feel like a goddamn vulture sitting up here on a mountain shelf.
Well, I hope it's going to be a rescue, not an exhumation.
Have to be quick. Captain Harris didn't sound too perky last time he reported in.
Cellini calling Lawrence. Come in, please.
Pat, we aren't far away. I can see the probe. It won't be long now.
At last. It's the heat as well as the carbon dioxide.
I know. Don't talk unless it's absolutely necessary. I'll leave this wave band open, and I'll do the talking. I'll let you know everything that's going on, okay, Pat?
All right.
My God, this is better than I could have hoped for. We'll go on air as soon as you can take me. I'll do the intro, and then you can pick up Lawrence on the security radio wavelength and let him do all the work, huh? My cue out will be, the next voice you hear will be that of Lawrence himself.
Understood. Coming to you in 20 seconds.
Okay.
What about the epic struggle for survival and all that?
This could be the greatest event in live television, and I must insist on silence. That's if you want a big fat bonus, huh? What do you say, Skipper?
Lester, shove that cotton-picking banjo and keep your mouth shut.
You'll be on air in 5 seconds from now. 4, 3, 2, 1.
This is Morris Spencer, coming to you live from the Sea of Thirst, Earthside, the Moon. The points of light you see on the right of your screens is Chief Engineer Lawrence and his gallant crew of rescuers. The probe, sticking starkly from the surface of the sea, is the only link 22 people entombed in the dust cruiser Cellini have with the rest of humanity. I'm going to leave the man in charge of the rescue, Chief Engineer Lawrence, to describe his plans to bring the 22 people to the surface, as he is in direct contact with Captain Pat Harris of the stricken craft. I'll leave the hellish conditions down there to your imagination. It's very hot, and there is a serious buildup of carbon dioxide. Let us pray to our own God that Lawrence can get them out of there in time. The next voice you hear will be that of Lawrence himself.
Uh-oh.
We got big trouble, Mr. Spencer. I have Tourist Commissioner Davies on a priority channel.
Hell. Okay, I'll handle him, Skipper.
Right.
Hello, Commissioner Davies. How are you?
I don't know how you got there so quickly, Spencer, but you've got 1 minute to get off the air. Don't you have any sense of moral decency?
I'm just doing my job the best way I know how, Commissioner.
Off in 1 minute, or your channel loses its franchise.
Let's not get excited, Commissioner. What's the problem?
We have nothing to discuss, Spencer.
I've got one of the greatest news items in moon history. That's what we've got to discuss. Now, calm down, Commissioner, and let's look at it from your point of view.
What the hell do you mean?
Strictly between us, Commissioner. Think positive, huh? What way can this tragedy benefit you and your department?
I don't think I follow you.
You must be going through a pretty hard time, huh? Tourist boss with 22 people incarcerated. It doesn't look too bright for the future, does it?
What are you getting at?
I think we could be men who understand each other. You could break me and my station, but in the minute I'd take to get off the air, I could break you.
Are you threatening me?
Damned right I am. But I'm also offering you a deal.
I don't have to take this from you.
Commissioner, I have an audience of 200 million people and rising by the minute. I could tell them what a job you've done here on the moon, what tourism is like here, and what it could be. I could have your hotels and pleasure domes overflowing. We've got the solar system sat on the edge of their seats, Commissioner. What do you say?
We're here, Pat, right above you. Would you believe there's a spaceship just on the ledge in the mountains waiting for all of you to come out and take your photographs?
Well, I must remember to comb my hair. Why didn't you land there and save time?
Wouldn't have saved time, Pat. The ledge is too high, and there are too many rocks to climb. We'd have spent longer getting our equipment down from there and across the sea. How are you?
Mac's giving oxygen to Mrs. Schuster. She's in a bad way. Seems to be getting foggy in here. Or is it just me?
We're ready to drill now.
I think the bottle's nearly empty, though.
We're on our way. The first section's 5 meters down. Hang on.
Yeah, I'll just have a sleep until you come in.
No, Pat. No, keep awake. Talk to me. How's Mac?
Who?
Mackenzie. Is he awake?
Why is it so foggy in here? I've only seen fog on videos.
God damn it, Ed. We should have made the drill detachable from the surface. He isn't going to have the strength.
We had to risk it. There wasn't time to improve it. There. It's there. We've hit the roof.
Pat, do you hear that? The first pipe is there. Can you hear it?
Yeah, I heard you. You're on the roof.
Listen very carefully. You're seconds away from fresh air, but this is very, very important. We will bang it a couple of times, and you have to tell us if it is clear of the circuitry. Do you understand? Pat.
Yeah, go ahead.
Is that clear?
Yeah, I think so, yeah. Yeah.
Start the drill. We've got to risk it now. Pat, listen. This is very important. Your pressure down there is greater than up here on the surface. Do not undo the bit until we tell you, or air will escape up the pipe. Do you understand that? Do not undo the bit. We didn't have time to fit a non-return valve.
We're through, Chief.
Mac, it's through. That's through.
Thank God. Coleman, Matsui, help George with the oxygen line. Chief, I think he's undoing the bit. Captain Harris, do not, repeat, do not disconnect the bit until I tell you. It's too late. He's going to pull a vacuum. Get that generator at full pressure, quickly.
Commissioner Davies, there's a huge jet of mist or something, like a geyser shooting up in the air.
As I
I can see it on my set.
I must comment on it to my viewers.
Is that agreed then, Mr. Spencer?
Yes, Commissioner. It's been a pleasure doing business with you.
If that geezer means they're all dead, I still want the same arrangement. Is that agreed?
Of course.
And no comments at all from Lawrence?
That's already been actioned. We can all benefit from this, Commissioner.
Pat, are you all right?
I put a book over the end of the pipe. The air was going out instead of in. It's gotten very dark in here.
You had us all scared there for a moment, Pat. Everything's going to be all right. Okay, George. Pat, we're going to blast that book away with the sweetest smelling oxygen you've ever known.
That's fantastic, Chief. Mac! Mac! Come and lie over by the pipe. Mac, you okay?
Yeah, I'm all right. I'm all right. Why is it so dark?
They got through to us. The main lights are out.
I went to sleep.
No, it doesn't matter. They aren't all breathing properly. Can you give artificial respiration?
Yeah, sure. Mrs. Schuster's a strange colour.
Oh, do what you can.
How's it going down there?
Hang on. Give us a few minutes. We've got to give some artificial respiration again.
Mrs. Schuster's breathing.
Yeah, I think we might make it.
We're giving you oxygen at the lowest temperature we think is safe, so don't be alarmed. When we've cooled you down, let us know.
How are they, Mac?
Oh, they're all alive up to now.
I think we're going to be all right.
Pat, in about 5 minutes, we'll be sinking the second pipe. We'll bang on the roof again to make sure we are clear of your controls. It's looking good, Pat.
As you can see through the transparent dome that encases the rescuers, the first stage, dropping an independent oxygen supply to the stricken Cellini, has now been completed. Another pipe, a vent pipe, is now being lowered by Chief Engineer Lawrence and his crew to complete the respiratory circuit. As the rescue continues to unfold live on this channel, I cannot help, even with a lump in my throat, thanking the good Lord for granting us people like Chief Engineer Lawrence, working under the leadership of Tourist Commissioner Rex Davis. I've tried repeatedly to talk to the Commissioner on the air, but he won't budge from his single-minded task of getting these people out alive and well. Perhaps he'll speak to us later.
You're through, Chief.
Okay, Pat. Now unscrew the bit, and then you can relax just a little. Is there anything you require urgently?
No, I don't think so. I'm going to get the main lights back on before they all wake up.
Fine. Our eagle above you is being pressurized now, so that should make our work a little more comfortable and avoid the danger of any more air escaping. Once you're out of there, we'll ferry you back to Bates in 4s or 5s, after a preliminary check by medics. What the hell was that?
That was just a sneeze. It's getting quite cool down here now.
All right, we'll put the oxygen temperature back to normal. The ski borrowed from Farside is just arriving. Nearly there, Pat.
Okay. Breathe deep, everyone. We have fresh air again.
Pat, how are we doing?
Well, so far, so good, Commodore. Breathe deep. I'm just unscrewing the vent pipe. There. Come on, Sue. Wake up.
What's happening?
Breathe. Enjoy the oxygen.
Oh, it's so cold.
We're going to be all right.
What's happened?
They got through to us, Professor. Breathe.
Thank God.
My goodness.
That's much better.
Make sure anyone who is still asleep is breathing normally and keep them warm.
I'll do a tour of inspection.
Good girl.
Oh, that air.
You okay, Mac?
Yeah, terrific. Mrs. Schuster, you had me worried for a while.
Good to see you, Mr. Mackenzie. Irving, you sleeping in?
It's a vacation, Myra. You sure you're all right?
I'm fine. Did I snore, Mr. Mackenzie?
Myra, 40 years married. You still amaze me.
Well, I'll get the main lights back on. Just relax.
All right. How did he propose to get us out, Pat?
I think you'd better ask Chief Engineer Lawrence, Commodore. Come under the bridge with me.
Hey, what's happening anyway?
Pat,
Yes, Chief.
we've stabilized pressures now. We'll have to give you a boost now and again, but most of the time the pipes will be open-ended.
Great. I'd like to introduce Commodore Hanstein to you.
Very pleased to talk to you, Chief. Thanks for the fresh air.
My pleasure, Commodore.
What's the plan to get us out, Chief?
At the moment, we've just rigged up an igloo above you. That means we don't have to work in spacesuits. And when you come up, you'll be in a pressurized atmosphere. We're going to use a large sectional cylinder that'll sink under its own weight. We've more than enough sections to reach you, and the pressure of the tube will make the seal. Then we'll have a sort of well shaft down to you, and I have the dubious honor of cutting through Cellini's roof.
That sounds straightforward enough.
We're starting now. The sections are sealed with a rather flimsy material that stops the dust coming up, but won't stop me getting down.
We seem to be in capable hands, Pat.
Yes, I think we are.
You look tired, Pat.
Well, I feel it. Mackenzie was a great help. Is everybody all right?
They've all come through it very well.
We're down more than 8 meters, more than halfway.
Pat,
Yeah, man?
how far down was the oxygen pipe when it first entered the cabin?
About a meter.
Take a look now.
I see what you mean. Chief, have you pulled the vent pipes up at all?
No, there's been no need.
We're still sinking. The dust must never have settled.
We're within half a meter of you. Almost there.
When that tube hits us, it might shove us down.
Lawrence, we're still sinking. You'll have to give us more airline and make it quick.
What the hell's that? The suction pump from Cellini's out of the ship and in the dust. We're pulling dust. Stretch it out. Cellini, what's happening?
Pat, the rear pipe's out. Dust spraying in. And we're tilting. The airline's out. Dust's coming in from both.
Did you get that?
Yes, okay. Here, get those pipes out and new bits on the end. We'll have to reach
Keep your head down. It's easier than that. Myra, can you listen?
It's so dark. The dust is floating everywhere.
Now we must jam the holes. Use my shirt. Commodore, will you block the other one, please?
I can't see. My eyes are full of dust.
Hang on, I'm coming your way.
The lights are still on. It's the dust.
You all right, Commodore?
I've managed to jam the hole, I think, but I can't see a thing. My eyes are clogged up with the dust.
Pat, they've drilled again, but it's gone into the front panel.
Can you still hear me?
Lawrence, can you hear me?
Yes, Pat, what the hell is going on?
You've drilled into the control panel. Take it up and come rear meter. Now, everybody stay calm. Cover your mouths and noses up with clothing.
Right, we're turning again.
Yes, go ahead. Mac, be ready to detach the bed.
Right.
Get through to us.
Good. At least you've got oxygen. All right, now let's get that cylinder down to the roof. She's on an uneven keel. It won't seal properly now. Get it down.
Mac, the bed. Okay.
He needs to understand, Chief.
They better go.
I'm tying a rope around my ankle.
Could you be quiet, please? Be quiet, everyone, please. We have to listen to this. Shush.
I'll cut a hole in the hull, then you pull me up again. Then drop the rope ladder. Don't risk it, Chief. It won't seal. You might get stuck. If the Cellini sinks anymore, you'll drown in the dust. Shut up, Ed. I can't think of anything else. Put the power under the grinder. George, give me a hand with the rope. I'm laying down, right?
Bits off, Pat. We have air again.
Good. Stand back. They're cutting through.
Captain! It is more than a meter deep at this end.
It's pouring into the bridge.
I'm through. Keep that damn rope tight, Ed. I don't want to drop in. Pull me up. Pull me up. The dust's pouring in. I'm choking.
I think the bridge is beginning to smolder.
That's where they drilled into the panel. Close the door. We got a spark. We could explode.
Pull me up, Ed. Get me out.
Oh, my God. Chief, Just exploded.
Grab the rope ladder. It's coming down to you.
Is she the ladder?
Just in my eyes. I can't see a thing yet.
There. It's the ladder. Now quickly start climbing. Come on, next, quickly.
Help me!
All right.
Help me, madam!
Hello, girl.
Someone help, please!
Are we getting out?
Next, quickly!
Hold on tight, Commodore. I'll get you out.
The bridge door isn't going to hold!
How many people are out soon?
11! Halfway there!
Well, keep them moving. Hey, come on, Myra. Get up there.
I'm not leaving you, Harvey! I'll get stuck! Pull her up! She can't climb!
Goodbye, Myra. What's happened? I can't see.
The bridge door's gone. There's a tidal wave of dust from the bridge.
Grab that hand quickly. Someone's got it.
Okay.
Come on.
Come on,
Come on, Miss Morley. I've got you.
Come on, darling. Yeah. Come on, darling.
How many more?
There's just the four of us. If anybody's buried, they're lost.
You next, Commodore.
Sue's still here. She should
Get up there and don't waste time. You next, too.
That's 20 with the go.
Go, Mac.
hang on the ladder, Pat, or you'll go under.
Don't worry about me. I'll be okay.
There's just the captain left. Drag him up. Drag him up. Come on, then. Or we'll lose him.
Paul! He's coming up! Oh, you all right, Pat?
Welcome aboard, Pat. Lawrence here.
I can't open my eyes, Chief, but it's good to hear you.
I can't see you either, but the medics are just arriving. Make them comfortable, lad.
You did a great job, Lawrence.
I've never been so frightened in all my life. Thought for a moment I was going to join you.
What the hell caused it in the first place?
Moonquake. A chance in a million.
And I always thought I had a nice, safe job.
Confirmation has just arrived that all 22 passengers and crew buried in the dust cruiser Cellini have been rescued unharmed by Chief Engineer Lawrence and the team put together by Tourist Commissioner Davis. They're all alive and well. After a chance in a million moon dust fall, the rescue operation has been a total success. And we now have a live interview with the man responsible for all tourism on the moon, Rex Davis. Commissioner.
Please, call me Rex. I must apologize for not speaking to you earlier, but I had other things on my mind. Even though I had 100% confidence in Jim Lawrence and his crew, I felt it my overriding responsibility to be on hand at all times.
We understand, Rex. Was there ever a time when you thought they may be lost?
No, not for a second. If this mishap has taught us anything, it's that the personnel on the moon are equipped to deal with any emergency. And as man becomes even more adventurous, we will be tested again and again, and again and again we will prove ourselves equal to the task. Why, even now, there's a man who wants to pioneer dust skiing as a sport.
Do you mean like water skiing?
Exactly. Out there on the Sea of Thirst. Isn't that an exciting prospect?
It is indeed, Rex. I see, as we speak, more of the team of highly trained medics are arriving at the rescue point, just as planned. When do you think the passengers and crew will be available for interview, Rex?
Oh, now, Morris, we don't want to rush these people. Let's give them a chance to experience some lunar hospitality, all courtesy of the tourist board, of course.
Well, I think you know best, Rex. Who is this enterprising man who wants to pioneer...
I was not guilty. It was a wicked conspiracy. Or to use a more up-to-date idiom, I was framed.
We present Cecil Parker as Admiral Lord Cochrane in A Matter of Speculation by Henry Cecil, based by the author on his book of the same name. A Matter of Speculation.
My name is Thomas Cochrane. I was born in 1775, and so my spirit is only 10 years from its double century. My body died in 1860, when it was 85. You would find its remains in Westminster Abbey if you opened the tomb. I wouldn't have been buried there now, would I, if I'd been guilty, but I tell you I was not guilty. Please forgive the emphasis. But when I think of the cruel degradation which I suffered, even as a spirit, I get angry. Now, you may ask why I should still worry, since I died loaded with honors and was buried in the place reserved for kings and mighty men. The answer is this. My case was never reheard. Year after year I demanded a rehearing, always in vain. Now you shall rehear it. You shall be convinced of my innocence. On the 8th of June, 1814, I was charged, together with a foreigner called Beringer, my uncle Cochrane Johnston, a man named Richard Butt, and various other men, with conspiring to spread false rumors of the death of Napoleon and the defeat of the French in order to cause a temporary increase in the price of government securities. It was alleged that we'd bought such securities a few days before and that we'd sold them at a profit on the day of the rumors. Now you shall judge whether I was the sort of man to commit such a crime. Anyway, I only made £2,470. But first, what sort of man was I? I'll get my friend and fellow spirit, Sir Francis Burdett, to tell you something about me.
Thomas Lord Cochrane was the eldest son and heir of the 9th Earl of Dundonald. He entered the Navy when he was 17 and greatly distinguished himself at sea. In 1809, at the early age of 34, he was awarded the KCB for his brilliance and gallantry in action against the French. I make bold to say that he was as brave an officer as ever served in an English ship.
Thank you, Francis. Yes, it would have been difficult for me to say all that.
I hadn't finished.
What? Oh, pray continue.
In war, his dashing courage was, if possible, surpassed by the fertility and ingenuity of device by which he deceived the enemy. He was a past master of ruse and stratagem, and he never knew when he was beaten. He has been well described as Cochrane the Dauntless.
Thank you. I claim no credit for this. One is as one is born.
He was a politician, too, and in 1806 he entered Parliament as member for Honiton.
Well, I do claim some credit for that. In those days, bribery was rife, and there was no secret ballot. I'd put up in 1805 and been soundly defeated. Well, it wasn't surprising. My opponent had offered £5 per vote, but my principles wouldn't allow me to pay 1 penny. I soon found out what the position was. It can be summed up in the language of one of the voters I canvassed.
You need not ask me, my lord, who I votes for. I always votes for Mr. Most.
I made my plans accordingly. At the end of the 1805 election, when, as I said, I was soundly defeated and received only a few votes, I sent the town crier around Honiton.
Oh, yes! Oh, yes! Oh, yes! A statement by me Lord Cochrane, the defeated candidate. All those honest men who voted for him may repair to his agent, who will pay them not £5, but 10 guineas.
Well, no one could call this bribery. I was paying for my defeat. Nothing wrong in that. But at the election in 1806, I stood again as candidate. Well, thought the good citizens of Honiton, if Lord Cochrane can pay 10 guineas to be defeated, what will he not pay to be elected? And so, I was triumphant. After the result had been declared, my agent was besieged with voters demanding their reward.
Oh, yes! Oh, yes! Oh, yes! A statement by me Lord Cochrane! Hooray! Lord Cochrane thanks the honest citizens of Honiton for returning him as their member. Hooray! He hopes that he will represent them faithfully in the new Parliament. Hooray! As for the request for payment made by some voters, he thinks there must have been some mistake. Such payments might be thought to be bribery, and Lord Cochrane would never descend to such dishonest practices to secure his election. He will, however, give to all those who voted for him his grateful thanks, and not one farthing more.
I was quite pleased with that. But on the whole, I didn't find I was very popular at Honiton. So not long afterwards, I managed to secure election as one of the members for Westminster. My dear friend Sir Francis was the other.
And he was as bold in the House of Commons as he was at sea. I have seen him speak for an hour and a half with no supporters except me. And as it was usually for the underdog he spoke, you can imagine how he was hated by the establishment of those days.
Well, it wasn't surprising that I had enemies. That is the reward of men who keep their consciences clear and stand up for the right.
Valor and toil was his family motto, and to those words he added boldness and resource. Boldness in all things. Even, I was going to say, in defeat, but he would never recognize defeat. He was most dangerous when defeat seemed inevitable.
Well, I've always believed that if possible, attack is the best method of defense.
And how often was he proved right, fighting his way out of impossible situations, careless of his own life or limbs?
Thank you, Francis. It was only in the end that I was appreciated, when I was dead.
How true.
I rescued Chile and Peru from the Spaniards and Brazil from the Portuguese. And what did I get for it? A few statues in Chile and a few words of thanks. Well, you can't cash statues, and you can't line your pocketbook with thanks. It cost me £20,000 or more to give those countries their freedom, and all they paid me was a paltry $6,000. But I must say, I did enjoy the war.
He won it by unsurpassed bravery and unsurpassed audacity. How many times did you sail under false colors?
Whenever it was necessary. It was great fun. I always enjoyed pulling people's legs. But we must get back to my trial.
Oh, tell them first about your capture of Maranham. He took this heavily fortified province single-handed with one ship only. It was pure bluff.
Well, some people will believe anything. I sailed into the harbor under Portuguese colors, and a messenger was sent out to us. I explained to him who we really were, and said that I was in command of a large squadron and had come ahead as I was the fastest ship. I sent him back with a letter addressed to the commander of the province. In it I told him that I had huge forces in my command, but should much prefer to free Marne peacefully. I offered him quite reasonable terms for capitulation.
And they capitulated. When they asked where the rest of the fleet was, it was too late. And this was only an example of what I might call, without, I hope, offense to my noble friend, what I might call his bounce and bravery.
Yes, well, now that you know the sort of man I was, let me tell you about this outrageous trial when my enemies combined to crush me. I hope I'm not exaggerating it when I say it was one of the most disgraceful episodes in English history. Would you call that an exaggeration, Francis?
It's putting it very mildly, Thomas. They treated you like a common criminal.
To circulate false news with intent to raise the price of any commodity is by the law of England a crime.
That, if you want to know, was the voice of Mr. Gurney, counsel for the prosecution. But all I can say is that no one has ever been charged with such a crime before. In my opinion, it was just a case of one set of stock jobbers trying to raise the price of stocks at the expense of another set of stock jobbers. I mean, the losers naturally being indignant at the successful hoax. But Lord Ellenborough, the Lord Chief Justice, before whom the case was tried, didn't agree with that. Now, this is not surprising, considering that he was, at the time of my trial, a member of the Cabinet, which I'd been regularly attacking in Parliament. What he said...
Forgive my interrupting, Thomas, but Lord Ellenborough was not a member of the Cabinet at the time of your trial.
Wasn't he? Well, he was a member of some Cabinet, I know.
Oh, he was indeed, but it was a different government. I hope you don't mind my correcting you.
Oh, my dear Francis, of course not. I'm most grateful. I don't want to make any false points. In any event, Lord Ellenborough was just as biased against me as if he had been a member of the Cabinet.
This is an indictment for an offence of great malignity and mischief.
That's how he began his summing up. But I mustn't anticipate that little gem of malice. You want to know what the evidence was against me, and you shall hear it. I have a complete record of the trial. As it takes up over 500 pages, I won't read all of it to you. But you may take it, I shan't leave out anything in my favor. I mean, anything against me. It's lucky that I have this record, because, as a matter of fact, I wasn't present at the time. Well, you may think that's strange. So indeed it is. It was another of the prosecution's wicked devices to secure my conviction. Had I been tried at the Old Bailey, I should have had to appear in the dock. So the prosecution asked for the case to be heard in the King's Bench, where I was not obliged to appear. I was so conscious of my innocence that I didn't bother to turn up. I've no doubt that was what the prosecution banked on. They could tell all the lies they wanted without my being able to defend myself.
Of course, you were entitled to be there, Thomas.
Don't quibble, Francis. I was entitled to be there, of course. But the prosecution guessed that I wouldn't be there if I didn't have to be. Why should an innocent man bother about it? I tell you, there wasn't a scrap of evidence against me. It was not only the government that trumped up the charges, but the Stock Exchange Committee. I'd beaten them at their own game, and they weren't going to have that. Oh, dear, no. Now, let's see what happened at my trial. One of the men charged with me was this foreign fellow de Beringer. He was a shocking chap, really. But he was a damn fine shot and a bit of an inventor. I was an inventor myself, as a matter of fact. Huh? Oh, well, that's another story. To return to de Beringer, I do not altogether disagree with what Mr. Gurney, the prosecutor, said about that ruffian.
De Beringer bore a principal part in the conspiracy and was a fit person to be selected for the purpose. Though a foreigner, he had resided long in this country. He could pass very well for an officer. He had been for 14 months a prisoner for debt and would be a convenient man to convey away after the crime, as he would prefer residence in any other country since his creditors resided in this. As far as this case is concerned, he first appeared upon the scene at Dover a little after midnight on Sunday the 20th of February in the year of grace 1814.
Open up, landlord! Open up! Oh, this is a fine sign, son. It's late.
Not too late for my business.
Oh, I'm sorry, sir. I didn't see your uniform. Won't you come inside?
Thank you.
What is your business, sir, if I may make so bold?
The best business this country has heard for 20 years. I have just landed on the beach bringing dispatches from France.
Dispatches, sir? About the war?
What else?
Might I know, sir, you have good news?
The best you've ever heard. Napoleon is dead, and the French defeated. But I should not have said that. My lips are sealed. Bring me pen, ink, and paper. I must write to the Admiral at Deal and inform him. And get me a post-chaise-and-four, one that will move.
One, sir. Wait, wake up! Wake up, woman! The war is won!
The war is won.
You heard the war is won.
They say the war is won.
The war is won.
Tell me, do you see in court the man who spread this news?
Yes, he's sitting down there.
The accused, de Beringer, you mean?
Yes, very so, my lord.
And that is the man you saw getting out of a hackney coach?
Yes.
What was he wearing?
Oh, a grey military coat, a scarlet uniform with a star on his heart, and a silver medal suspended from his neck.
Take a look at these bedraggled clothes. They were found in the Thames near to de Beringer's lodging. If they were clean and new, what would you say?
They're very like.
Have you any doubt as to the color of the uniform?
It was red.
Well, of course it was red. I've never said there wasn't a plot. Of course, de Beringer was in it, my uncle Cochrane Johnston was in it, Richard Butt was in it, and all the other small fry. But it wasn't them the government wanted. They wanted me. So they called dozens of witnesses to prove de Beringer was the man.
Members of the jury, when de Beringer arrived in London from Dover, he changed into a hackney coach and drove straight to number 13, Green Street, Mayfair. This was the house of Lord Cochrane, a house which his lordship had only taken 3 days before. De Beringer must have been on fairly intimate terms with Lord Cochrane to know his new address.
I've told you, I knew the man.
And Lord Cochrane very kindly provided de Beringer with a civilian hat and coat. You may imagine, members of the jury, that the man who had been spreading the rumors would not wish to be identified when the rumors proved to be false. So he wanted a quick change of clothing. At number 13 Green Street, he got it.
I can only say that he was in the green uniform of the sharpshooters when he came to me. He said that if he went back to his debtors' lodgings in it, it might excite suspicion. I just obliged the fellow, that's all. Where's the conspiracy there?
Lord Cochrane must indeed be a very unlucky man, if he is innocent of any conspiracy. 12 days before the fraud, he owned no government stock at all. By the day of the fraud, however, he had contracted to buy altogether no less than £139,000 worth. Settling day was on the 23rd of February. The false rumours were circulated on the 21st of February. And early on that date, Lord Cochrane sold out all he had at a profit of £2,470. It is indeed a very unfortunate coincidence that he'd happened to buy all that stock just before the fraud, that he should sell it that very day, and that the man who spread the false rumour should happen to call on him earlier on the same day and be supplied by Lord Cochrane with a civilian hat and coat.
I sold out early. If I'd held on, I could have made a much greater profit.
Then why didn't you hold on? No, Lord Cochrane, you knew the rumours were false and that the price might drop at any moment, so you sold early. And, be it noted, you employed the same stockbroker that was used by your uncle and Mr. Butt, and that stockbroker had an office rented for him by your uncle just outside the stock exchange only 2 days before the fraud. Altogether, the three of you bought and sold £1.5 million worth of government stock between the 8th and the 21st of February.
Why shouldn't I indulge in a little gambling? And who told you that de Beringer came to my house? I did. Why should I do that if I were guilty?
You must have thought it could be proved, anyway, by your servants and others.
Well, if I hadn't told you that de Beringer called on me, you'd have said that I was holding it back. When I do tell you, you say I do it with an ulterior motive.
Poor Lord Cochrane. Always maligned and misunderstood. And what bad luck he had. De Beringer ran away, and there was a hue and cry after him. He was travelling on a false name and obviously seeking to go abroad. But he was caught. Now, he needed money to make his escape, and when he was arrested, he had money on him. Members of the jury, fortune indeed must have a loathing for Lord Cochrane if he is innocent. I can prove that some of the notes found on the arrested man had been in Lord Cochrane's possession a few days before. How many more coincidences do you want before you say, these are no coincidences? Lord Cochrane was in the swindle with the others.
I was not. Don't think that you can browbeat me like you and Lord Ellenborough browbeat the jury. I have more respect for that scoundrel Lamarchin, who tried to blackmail me, than I have for you.
The prosecution did not seek to rely on Lamarchin's evidence.
Then why call him?
On consideration, I don't think we should have done so.
In other words, any stick was good enough to beat me with, however dirty.
He came to the stock exchange with evidence.
And what evidence?
At the time, we couldn't tell why he gave it.
Then let me tell you why he gave it. First of all, he wrote to me on the 6th of April, 1814. A smooth, smooth letter.
My lord, although I have not the honour of your acquaintance, I beg leave to solicit an interview with your lordship for the purpose of explaining a conversation I had with Mr. de Beringer a few days prior to the hoax of the 21st of February, and which must be interesting to you. If your lordship will condescend to appoint an hour, I will not fail to attend punctually at your house or elsewhere.
He delivered that letter to my house, and because I didn't answer immediately, he wrote again. Not quite so smoothly.
I had the honour yesterday to address your lordship for the purpose of giving information you're not aware of, and knowing my letter was duly delivered to your lordship personally, I beg to say that I now feel justified from your silent contempt and defiance thereof to make my information public.
He underlined those last words.
Disgraceful. You should have kicked him out of the house.
I agree.
Then why didn't you? Instead, you wrote a letter. Would you have any objection to reading it?
I am ashamed of nothing I have done and nothing I have written.
Then pray read it.
All right. I wrote, circumstanced as I am and attacked by scoundrels of all descriptions.
Forgive me interrupting, but who were all these scoundrels who were attacking you?
Well, the whole lot of you.
I find this rather hard to follow, but pray continue.
Circumstanced as I am and attacked by scoundrels of all descriptions, I should have hoped that a gentleman of your understanding might have discovered some better reason than that of silent contempt to account for the delay in answering a note.
An odd sort of letter to write to a man you didn't know who was obviously threatening you? Unless, of course, you had a guilty conscience.
I've never had a guilty conscience.
Of course, if you'd never had a conscience at all, that would be true.
That is mere abuse.
I apologize. Shall we hear Mr. Lamarchan's reply?
I ask your lordship's pardon for my letter of yesterday, which was written under the supposition of being treated with silent contempt. I have the honor now to enclose a statement of what I know relative to the 21st of February, and I also now declare solemnly that no power or consideration shall ever induce me to come forward as evidence against you. If my conduct meets your approbation, can I ask you for a reciprocal favor in the shape of a temporary loan? I'm just appointed to a situation of about $1,200 a year, but for the moment I'm in the greatest distress with a large family. Necessity has driven me to ask your lordship's favor. Whether granted or not, be assured of my keeping my oath of secrecy.
The statement which Lamarchant enclosed referred to interviews which Lamarchant had had with de Beringer, in which he claimed that de Beringer had told him that he was now in a good financial position as a result of services which he'd rendered to Lord Cochrane and his uncle, which had enabled them to make large sums on the stock exchange.
I didn't answer that letter.
I don't blame you. And Lamarchant soon forgot his pledge of secrecy. Strange that a man of his kind should have been offered a government appointment abroad. But he never got it after what Lord Ellenborough said.
He is a person whom the government might do very well in letting ride at anchor here, without going abroad.
We could well have dispensed with him. But apart from his evidence and that of two other witnesses, you don't and couldn't dispute the rest of the evidence.
What about those two witnesses?
Of those two witnesses, one said de Beringer was in red when he changed into the hackney coach, and the other that he was in red when he called on you.
Foul perjurers.
We will hear them in a moment or two and see. But before we listen to their evidence, let me remind you that your counsel virtually admitted that de Beringer appeared at your house in red. He said that you were mistaken when you said the uniform was green.
My counsel let me down. He should have made no such admission.
And you called one of your servants who saw de Beringer at your house on the 21st of February. He could have said the uniform was green if it had been, but your counsel didn't ask him, and for good reason. In the original brief to counsel, it was stated that de Beringer was wearing red when he called on you.
I tell you, my lawyers let me down.
Everyone's out of step except you, apparently. Even your own lawyers. Not to mention poor little William Crane, the foul perjurer. You claim that de Beringer must have changed from the red uniform into the sharpshooter's green on his journey from Dover to your house in London. You said that he carried a case in which he could have put the uniform he was not wearing.
Yes, indeed. And after the trial, I produced affidavits of several people to say that he arrived at my house in green.
You did, and you claimed then, as you claim now, that Crane, the hackney coach driver, was a witness procured by the other side to commit perjury. A pity, then, that you didn't prosecute him for perjury.
It's not my business to prosecute people.
Indeed not, but you did prosecute one witness, didn't you?
Oh, what of it?
You prosecuted a man called Davidson, who, though called by the prosecution, gave evidence in your favor. De Beringer's defense was that he was not the man from Dover, and he called evidence to prove that he was elsewhere at the time. You know now, and you knew then, that the alibi was false. Do you recollect what Lord Ellenborough said?
If the evidence produced by the prosecution is not sufficient to establish that de Beringer was the man, I am at a loss to say by what description or quantity of testimony such a matter can be satisfactorily proved at a trial.
Well, I should have thought that was for the jury to say.
Well, they said it.
Only after having been told by the judge to do so.
Nevertheless, de Beringer was the man for all his attempt at an alibi. You have to admit that.
Well, he was the man, yes, but I didn't conspire with him.
To return to Davidson, the man you prosecuted. He gave evidence for the prosecution, mark you, to suggest that de Beringer was in London when in fact he was in Dover. Now, if de Beringer wasn't the man from Dover, you were bound to be acquitted. Yet you prosecuted Davidson for helping you. Why? You don't answer. Let me do it for you. You hoped you could get a witness for the prosecution convicted of perjury, so that you could say that you'd been convicted on perjured evidence. Unfortunately for your little plan, Davidson was acquitted.
Well, I don't see what that has to do with it. I wasn't guilty.
But if you prosecuted Davidson, why not the wicked Crane? It was the keystone of your case that Crane committed perjury. You didn't prosecute him, yet you did prosecute Davidson. Now let's hear the perjured evidence of this witness suborned to commit perjury by a corrupt prosecution.
You are William Thomas Crane.
Yes.
Do you drive a hackney coach?
Yes.
On the 21st of February, do you remember taking up a fare at the Marsh Gate?
Yes.
Where did the fare come from?
Out of a Dartford post station 4.
Where were you directed to drive to?
To Grosvenor Square. When I reached Grosvenor Square, the gentleman told me to drive to 13 Green Street. He got out there.
Did you hear for whom he asked?
Colonel or a captain or somebody. I didn't hear the name, but they said he was going to breakfast in Great Cumberland Street.
That is where Lord Cochrane's uncle lived, members of the jury, and where Lord Cochrane had, in fact, gone. Well, what did the gentleman say then?
The gentleman asked if he could write a note to him.
Did he go in?
Yes.
Were you discharged then?
Yes. The gentleman gave me 4 shillings before he went in, and I said I had to give me another shilling.
Is that what you actually said? You hoped he'd give you another shilling?
Well, we have our own way of saying these things. The gentleman took out a portmanteau that he had and a sword and went in. Then he came out into the passage and gave me another shilling.
Apparently your way of saying these things was effective. What sort of a portmanteau was it?
A small leather one. Big enough to wrap a coat in.
What sort of leather?
Black leather was as well as I can recollect.
Have you seen that person since you drove him to Green Street that morning?
Well, I saw him at Mr. Wood's house.
Mr. Wood is a messenger from the aliens office who arrested de Beringer, my lord.
Thank you, Mr. Adolphus.
Do you see the man you drove to Green Street in court?
Oh, I think that's the gentleman now.
Were you of the same opinion when you saw him at Mr. Wood's?
Yes, but he altered himself very much by his dress.
Thank you.
That was the whole of this wicked perjurer's evidence in chief. This was the man whom the government and the stock exchange had suborned to commit perjury. Lord Cochrane, can you point to one false word in the whole of that evidence?
Read the cross-examination.
I will. But if I may say so, when wicked conspirators get together to persuade a man to tell a story to bolster up their case, he usually tells those lies when he first goes into the witness box.
Well, this time he waited. He bided his time.
William Crane, the 17-year-old hackney coach driver, bided his time? Huh, almost Machiavellian.
I tell you, he waited.
He even helped your case by volunteering that de Beringer carried a bag in which he could have put his red coat. He needn't have said that, and I wonder why he did. You haven't paid him too, I suppose.
That's a lie.
It wasn't a lie, it was a question. I just wondered, if you'd paid him to say that de Beringer carried a case, and then he'd slipped in a bit about his wearing a red uniform, that would have accounted for your anger and for your not being able to prosecute him. However, I agree that's surmise. Now, let's listen to Crane's cross-examination by Mr. Richardson, de Beringer's counsel.
You went to Mr. Wood's house for the purpose of identifying this man.
I did.
De Beringer was pointed out there as being the person in custody.
No. I met the gentleman coming up the stairs.
And you thought you saw a resemblance?
Yes, I thought he was something like the same gentleman that I carried.
You do not pretend to be able to recollect every person you carry in your hackney coach every day.
No. But when this gentleman got out at Green Street, I saw that he had a red coat underneath his greatcoat.
At the Marsh Gate, where he changed coaches, you did not open the door of your vehicle to him?
No.
The waterman did that?
Yes.
But when he got out in Green Street, you opened the carriage door to him?
I did.
And he paid you and passed into the house?
Yes, he did.
What was the colour of his coat?
Brown grey coat with a cape with lace to it.
Did you not describe the coat before as a kind of brown coat?
No, brown grey.
That was the substance of Crane's evidence. Does this 17-year-old boy sound like a wicked perjurer? Why did he not positively identify de Beringer if he was paid to get you convicted? Why did he not put de Beringer's red uniform in the forefront of his evidence?
I'm not well acquainted with the ways of perjurers, so can't answer that question.
Yes, the only other witness whose evidence you challenged was Bartholomew the waterman. Let's hear what he had to say.
Are you a waterman attending a stand of coaches at the Marsh Gate?
I am.
Do you remember the witness Crane having a hackney coach at the stand on the 21st of February?
I do.
Did you see a gentleman get into it?
I did.
Well, go on.
He stepped out of the Dartford coach into the hackney carriage.
Did you open the door and let the step down for him?
Yes.
How was the gentleman dressed?
He had a kind of brown cap on and a dark military sort of coat.
What had he under the greatcoat?
A scarlet coat.
Did you see anything on the scarlet coat?
I only took notice of the lace upon it.
Do you think you would know the gentleman again?
I do not know.
Look around you and see if you can see anyone.
I do not see that I can recollect him. Only seen him that half minute.
Look at that gentleman who is stooping down to write, and see whether you think it was like him.
Yes, I do, upon my word. But I only saw him for about half a minute.
This, Lord Cochrane, is the other perjurer, bribed by the prosecution to get you convicted. Why did he not refer to the star and medal on the scarlet coat? Why did he not identify de Berenger sooner and more certainly?
I repeat, the ways of perjurers are not known to me. I don't move in those circles.
The prosecution called 53 witnesses, excluding the merchant, and you dispute 5 words in the evidence of one witness and 3 words in the evidence of another. For the rest, the whole of the evidence was admittedly true. Do you still say you were not guilty?
Most assuredly. And subsequent history proved me so.
It did nothing of the kind. At any rate, the jury convicted you.
Well, they couldn't help it. Anyway, the jury was packed.
Your uncle was present when the jurymen were chosen and objected to none.
My uncle was a fool.
He was also guilty and fled after your conviction.
His conviction was justified, mine was not.
There was more evidence against you than against him.
There was no evidence against me worthy of the name.
Even your old friend Sir Francis Burdett said he would have convicted you if de Berenger had appeared before you in scarlet.
But he didn't. He was in green. And Lord Ellenborough deliberately disregarded the question.
You have already had the animal hunted home, and now you have his skin found and produced as it was taken out of the river, cut to pieces.
What's wrong with that? And what's wrong with what I said? I take up de Berenger at Dover as I would a bale of goods. I have delivered him from hand to hand from Dover to London. I have delivered him into the house of Lord Cochrane. And I have Lord Cochrane's receipt acknowledging delivery.
Very picturesque. But not in the scarlet uniform.
Which your eminent counsel, who subsequently became a Chief Justice, did not dispute.
Well, don't talk to me of Chief Justices. Lord Ellenborough was enough for me. I remember the way he passed sentence.
He didn't pass sentence on you. It was one of the other judges, Mr. Justice LeBlanc, who sentenced you.
It is painful for the court to observe that among those who stand for judgment, there should be anyone who, by reason of his rank, situation, and every attribute held honorable among mankind, ought not to have been connected with persons of the description of those with whom he has been connected. This is a conspiracy of the greatest magnitude and of the most prejudicial effect to the community. The sentence, therefore, is that you, Sir Thomas Cochrane, commonly called Lord Cochrane, do pay a fine of £1,000, and that you be imprisoned for 12 calendar months, and that you be set in and upon the pillory opposite the Royal Exchange for 1 hour between 12 noon and 2 in the afternoon.
Silence! Silence!
I remember that sentence only too well. I think perhaps it was the only occasion in my life when, for the moment, hope seemed to fail me. I read later what the diarist Crabbe Robinson wrote. It may well have been true.
The sentence of the pillory was passed against Lord Cochrane, de Berenger, and Butt. The severity of this sentence has turned public opinion in favor of his lordship, and they who first commiserated with him afterwards began to think him innocent. When the sentence was passed, he stood without color in his face, his eyes staring and without expression, and left court like a man stupefied. I have since heard that he recovered his spirits in prison. This disgraceful punishment will, without doubt, be remitted to him.
I little thought at that moment that I should be buried in Westminster Abbey. But Francis Burdett and some of my friends stood by me. I've never forgotten it, Francis.
What are friends for, Thomas? Only to acclaim victories. They're more important to cheer in defeat. But Lord Cochrane could not be down for long. Within half an hour he had recovered his spirits and was fighting back. He wrote to the Speaker of the House of Commons protesting his innocence. Did he not, Mr. Gurney?
He did indeed, Sir Francis. He never stopped protesting his innocence. He did so before sentence and after sentence. He acted on the principle that if you say a thing often enough, people may believe it. His speech before sentence didn't please de Berenger. As they were being removed from the court, de Berenger was heard to say to Lord Cochrane,
"Scoundrel! Coward! And liar! You know you are as guilty as any of us!"
I treated that remark with the contempt it deserved. And there were many who believed in my innocence.
That is true, but why? Crabbe Robinson records.
I found his friends strongly impressed with Lord Cochrane's innocence, and his cause is taken up by kind-hearted sentimentalists who cannot believe that a brave officer of noble family could so vehemently protest his innocence if he were guilty. But be he guilty or innocent, it is certain that the current of favor now running towards him is the suggestion of sentiment, not reason.
I venture to disagree. Even in the House of Commons, which expelled me, 44 members voted in my favor. I made a speech in my defense.
You did indeed, so uncontrolled that Hansard was full of dots and asterisks.
Well, if you had been wrongly convicted and sentenced to the pillory and imprisonment, you too might have used strong language. Well, I admit that I did. It was none too strong.
You said you were tried by a packed jury.
I was.
And you agree that your counsel admitted in his speech that de Beringer came to you in a red coat?
Exactly. Because of the mistake in the brief.
Your friend, Sir Francis Burdett, agrees that if de Beringer came to you in the red coat and you sent him away with a civilian hat and coat, you must have been guilty.
What of it?
Well, then, even an unpacked jury must have convicted you. Why should this jury be packed?
Well, to be on the safe side. The rascals in the government and on the stock exchange wanted my blood. I'd attacked them so often. They were determined to get me.
What a stroke of luck for your enemies that a fraud was perpetrated on the 21st of February, and that at the trial you appeared plainly guilty. They had to do nothing except wait for the ripe apple to drop. It was you who did their work for them. It was you who bought the stock a few days before the fraud. It was you who sold it on that day. It was you who handed to de Beringer a civilian hat and coat. It was partly your money which was found on de Beringer. It was you who failed to attend court. And it was your solicitors and counsel who, you say, made a mess of it.
It is easy to sneer at a man when he's down.
But you're not down now, and I certainly admire the way you rose again.
Not before I'd spent a year rotting in jail.
Not rotting.
Well, I tell you I was not guilty. That's why I escaped and ran to the House of Commons.
I've always wondered why you did that. You had only 3 more months to serve, and you were bound to be caught.
It was the consciousness of innocence which made it so difficult for me to remain caged up. And I felt that if I could address the House more calmly, they'd come round to my point of view and have my conviction set aside.
It was certainly a daring thing to do. I gather you hurt yourself in the course of your escape.
Yes, confoundedly. The escape itself wasn't too difficult. And it wasn't the first time I'd escaped from a prison. There were some farcical proceedings in Malta, where I was locked up for going into the judges' rooms and removing a list of fees from a lavatory.
From a lavatory?
Well, didn't you know? Yes. When naval officers became entitled to prize money, the legal officials were entitled to make certain charges. They always charged exorbitant fees, far beyond those that were authorized. I wanted to get hold of the list of authorized fees and found it in the lavatory. I must say I was surprised they hadn't gone one further and put it down the closet. Well, they locked me up, and eventually I had to escape as my men were getting impatient. I used much the same method in the Marshalsea. I had a bit of rope smuggled into the prison. With this, I let myself down from an unbarred window. I then had the outer spiked wall to scale. I threw a running noose over it, hauled myself up, and sat on one of the spikes. Now, that wasn't very comfortable. If once again you doubt my word, you should try it sometime.
No, I'll take your word on that.
Thank you. I then secured the rope to one of the spikes, but unfortunately, as I was letting myself down, it broke, and I fell. I hurt myself quite badly. However, I managed to get away, and 10 days later presented myself in the House of Commons.
But they wouldn't hear you.
It was disgraceful. The House allowed one of its own members to be arrested in the chamber.
But you've been expelled.
Ah, yes, but after my expulsion, there was a fresh election, and I was re-elected. They couldn't very well expel me again. I must say my constituency stood by me.
I remember now. Didn't the other candidates stand down, and weren't you elected unopposed?
That is so. But, I'd have been elected anyway. At any rate, my constituents believed in my innocence. Well, the House wouldn't listen to me, and I was carted away like an escaped bullet to serve my final 3 months. And most unpleasant it was. I wrote on the £1,000 note with which I paid my fine. My health having suffered by long and close confinement, and my oppressors being resolved to deprive me of property all life, I submit to robbery to protect myself from murder in the hope that I shall live to bring the delinquents to justice.
I'm still at a loss to know who the delinquents were.
I repeat, Mr. Gurney, that it was a whole damn lot of
You
you.
just say these things. I was framed, you say. After you've said it often enough, people begin to believe you.
Nearly all the books agree with me.
True enough. But most authors don't know the facts. But let's come back to the books.
The books?
Yes, the books. The first you wrote yourself. Did you tell the truth?
Of course. I've never told anything else. It's you who tell all the lies.
Come, Lord Cochrane.
And I'm afraid, don't say come to me, sir.
I'm not surprised you're touchy. Your book was full of lies. Listen to this. This is your language. You read it.
Huh. One most material point connected with the trial cannot be overlooked. Lord Ellenborough was not only Chief Justice, but at the same time a cabinet minister. He came hot foot from a cabinet meeting to decide on my fate. The fate of a person the government hated and was determined to suppress.
Well, that wasn't true, was it? Your trial was in 1814. Lord Ellenborough was a member of the cabinet of a different government in 1806.
Well, I got the dates wrong, that's all.
And then you wrote that you were denied a new trial because before sentence your uncle and another man ran away.
That was most certainly true, and I can prove it. Look at pages 532 to 534 of the shorthand notes.
I thought you'd say that.
Well, doesn't it show that they refused even to listen to my application for a new trial because of the technicality that all the accused were not before the court?
It does.
Well, then, where's the lie there?
You are a remarkable man, Lord Cochrane.
Yes, I prefer your insults to your praise, sir. At least you mean to be rude.
But I do think you're remarkable. You'd bluff your way through anything. It's perfectly true that your first application for a new trial was refused on technical grounds, but later you were permitted to apply for a new trial, and you were heard in full.
I might have saved my breath.
At least it was untrue to say that you were not allowed to apply for a new trial. Yet writer after writer has repeated this misstatement.
I am not responsible for what other people write.
But in this case you are. They repeated your misstatement.
They should have looked it up.
Then why didn't you look it up?
What I wrote was literally true.
Yes, but you also suppressed the truth, which is a more effective way of lying.
Well, if I'd forgotten something, how can you call it lying?
How you can have forgotten making a 3,000-word speech, I do not know.
There are many things you do not know. But there's one thing that I do know, and have never forgotten, that I was not guilty.
I think you almost believe it by now.
And so do many others.
I grant you that, and I'll tell you why. Because they don't know half the story and haven't had the chance to hear the different stories you tell to suit your case. When the motion to expel you from the house was upheld, you said that if you were guilty, you fully deserved the punishment.
Well, what's wrong with that?
Nothing. But don't you remember saying on another occasion that it was just a trumpery hoax and wasn't a crime at all?
No one has ever called it a crime before.
Then why should it be deserving of severe punishment?
Oh, you lawyers would twist anything.
Well, untwist this one for me, if you will. Do you remember a Mr. McCrae who was one of your co-defendants?
A rascal. He meant nothing to me.
But with a sense of humor, don't you think?
This is no laughing matter.
Agreed, but in that case, why did you let your uncle forward McCrae's letter to the stock exchange?
What letter?
Have you forgotten that, too? Before your arrest, your uncle sent on a letter to the Stock Exchange Committee which he said Mr. McCrae had authorized him to send. It read as follows.
Sir, I authorized the bearer of this note to state to you that I am prepared to lay before the public the names of the persons who planned and carried into effect the late hoax, provided you accede to the terms which my friend will lay before you.
Well, what's that to do with me?
Your uncle sent that note with a letter of his own. In it, he said,
Mr. McCrae is willing to disclose the names of the principals concerned in the late hoax on being paid the sum of £10,000 on the conviction of the offenders.
A modest little sum, £10,000. Your uncle continued.
I am happy to say that there seems now a reasonable prospect of discovering the authors of this hoax, and I cannot evince my anxious wish to promote such discovery more than by assuring you that I am ready to contribute liberally towards the above sum.
That was very noble of your uncle, but the poor man got no reply. So he wrote again and sent the letter by hand.
I have to request that you will be good enough to inform me what are the intentions of the Stock Exchange on the subject of the letter I addressed to you relative to the proposal of Mr. McCrae. Lord Cochrane, Mr. Butt, and myself are willing to subscribe £1,000 each in aid of the £10,000 required by Mr. McCrae. The bearer waits your answer, which, to prevent any mistake, I hope you will find the time to commit to writing.
Your poor uncle. By that time, I can well imagine he must have been almost frantic.
Surely he should be back by now. What a time the man takes. At last. Give me the answer, man.
There was none, sir.
No letter?
None, sir.
Nothing at all?
Nothing, sir.
Oh, God.
That was on the 18th of April, Lord Cochrane. But your uncle didn't have to wait in suspense much longer. He was charged with conspiracy 2 days later.
What has this to do with me?
That's what I want to know. Why did you agree to pay £1,000 to this rascal if you were innocent?
To find the names of the guilty, of course.
In the same way, I suppose, that you offered to see the blackmailer Le Marchant.
Le Marchant had nothing to do with McCrae.
I should have thought that both these incidents showed that you, like your uncle, were trying to avoid being prosecuted.
My uncle was guilty. I was not. But who would not want to avoid a prosecution? I knew nothing of McCrae at the time.
Well, you certainly did later. McCrae was almost as irrepressible as your lordship. Just before the motion to expel you, a petition was presented by McCrae through his MP. I should think that this must have been the only occasion when the House received a petition from an escaped criminal on the run. This time he didn't ask for £10,000, but stated that he wanted to come to your rescue. Did you have anything to do with that?
Certainly not. I had no connection with the man either then or at any other time.
Well, then I think it was very good of him. He asked to be allowed to be examined at the bar of the House. Unfortunately, he didn't give an address where he could be found, so the House refused to listen to his petition.
What's that got to do with me?
Only that I find it odd that the man to whom you offered to pay £1,000 should want to come to your aid without knowing anything about it.
Well, if it is odd, it does nothing to suggest my guilt.
Perhaps not, but there are so many odd things about your lordship's case.
Such as?
I hoped you'd ask that. You swore that when de Beringer called at your house on the day of the fraud, you were in a small factory in the city.
That was true?
No doubt. And that there you received a note. That, again, I believe to be true.
Very good of you.
Not at all. A note summoning you back to your house in handwriting which you couldn't read.
True.
No, my lord. Untrue. The note was, in fact, sent by de Beringer, as you have long since admitted.
But I couldn't recognize the handwriting.
No doubt you preferred to say you couldn't. I suggest you recognized the writing well enough.
I did not.
Only 4 days previously, you'd written a letter to de Beringer saying, your papers are very clear, as are all writings which come from your pen. How came it, then, that on the 21st of February you could not recognize his handwriting?
Well, he probably wrote it differently.
As are all writings which come from your pen.
Yes, you said that before.
I thought I'd remind you of it. De Beringer says that in the note he complained at your not being at home and said he wouldn't leave the house until you returned.
You'd accept the word of a self-confessed swindler before mine?
I must confess that I see no distinction between you, except that he had the grace to admit his guilt. But let me remind you of another oddity. You swore that you returned to the house at once because you thought the writer of the note had brought news of your brother, who was abroad.
Well, he was abroad.
Of course he was. The virtue of your lordship's lies is that they're always based on some degree of truth. You swore that you thought your brother might have had an accident, and so you hastened home to see the man.
I thought he'd come about my brother.
Did you indeed? Did you think that some accident might have befallen him? Let's see. When your application for a new trial was fully heard, you put in evidence to show that your brother had indeed been taken ill. Not an accident, but had been taken ill. You told the court that before the day of the fraud, you had received a letter from your brother telling you of this illness. You did not bring this letter to court. Instead, you produced the affidavit of the surgeon who treated your brother. Do you remember what Lord Ellenborough had to say?
This affidavit does not show that Lord Cochrane was in possession of his brother's letter previous to the morning of the 21st of February.
My brother's affidavit states that he wrote to me early in the month, and I received his letter on the Friday previous to the fraud.
That was capable of being verified, but the original letter is not annexed to the affidavit.
I had no wish to bring my brother's letter before a court of justice.
Pretty thin, don't you think, on reflection, my lord?
Not in the least.
Why didn't you ask leave to go and get your brother's letter when the point arose?
They wouldn't have given me leave. They were determined to ruin me.
But why didn't you swear that your brother was ill if you'd already heard about his illness? The truth, of course, is that the letter was from de Beringer, and you knew that very well.
It is not the truth.
Why didn't you like this idea of bringing your brother's letter before the court? You didn't bring it because you knew that the letter would have proved that you hadn't had it before the 21st of February.
It would have proved nothing of the sort.
Well, where is the letter? Why didn't you produce it with the one you wrote subsequently to Lord Ellenborough? It would have been a perfect piece of evidence. You could have reminded him that they'd refused to believe you